to approve it. Your first idea. You get up and read the
Certain diet, that's what we call it, certain diet. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, she was. Well, you know, either that or we read them all. I mean, we go through them and push them. You know, we can go through it. You know, a little bit of time we ask for a motion either to approve, and if it dies, it dies.
All right, they're still new.
I am so sorry. There's a little glitch when they updated their sergeant and a box that makes them automatic. Please can live stream it to the little box. Died. Apparently it wasn't here for a meeting tonight, but they have to have it on before we can start.
Okay. Well, then I motion to
You guys can take your pictures.
What?
Since that is I can in a minute. So, I've been studying. So the reason I said all that started was because the 075 and you look at it and look at your libraries, it lists all the other stuff that's on there. So hold on, I think it's
Carol, you need her.
herding cats.
get us all in the same room at the same time. Pardon? He's being kind.
Oh, Frank.
Yes.
It's
Being
Lynn.
kind.
It's Lynn. I would expect nothing less from Frank at this time.
Well, it comes with a job.
Well, lest I say I don't qualify.
I mean, that's what.
You do the job there.
You have to make an effort.
Okay, I'm not qualified.
Ready?
I just brought
The time is now 6:19 p.m. and I would like to call this meeting to order. Welcome to all those participating the Board of Education meeting tonight in person, and those watching the meeting via live streaming on YouTube. Thank you for your patience. We would ask that anyone addressing the board to please use the microphone at the podium to identify themselves for the record. As a reminder, the link to the meeting is on the district webpage under the Board of Education. The streaming will run through the end of the meeting. In the event there's a disruption in streaming, I will pause the meeting until it is reestablished. Mr. David Vickers is out tonight and he is on vacation. Tonight we're pleased to welcome Zoe Garland from Catherine Gallegos Elementary, and Taylor Karate from Sundance Elementary to please lead the pledge. Will you young ladies please come up? Okay, go ahead and turn around. Before, Mrs. Chavez, will you, can you please read the bios, please?
Yes, I can. You all can sit down for just a few minutes. Sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with us tonight. Thank you, pledge leaders. Joining us from Catherine Gallegos Elementary this evening is Zoe Garland. She is accompanied this evening by her parents, Michelle and Nakona Garland. Zoe is a 5th grade student at KGE and an active member of the Student Council. She was selected to represent KGE because she consistently demonstrates our ROARS mentality: respectful, organized, accountable, responsible, and safe. Her teachers rely on her as a positive role model for both her peers and younger students. She not only excels in the classroom, but also while participating in multiple sports like basketball and soccer amongst her peers in the Los Lunas community. She is grateful to her mom and dad for encouraging to always strive to be her best, both in the classroom and in athletics. It is a pleasure to introduce Taylor Karate, a vibrant and kind-hearted 4th grade student who brings a spark of energy to our school every single day. She is the daughter of Clarissa Willie and John Karate. She has an older sister, Peyton, who is a junior, and a younger brother, Jackson, who is in 1st grade. Taylor is best known by her peers and teachers for her kind and caring nature. She is the student who is always looking to make a new friend and is the first to offer a helping hand to a classmate in need. Whether she is in the classroom or walking the halls, Taylor is a constant source of happy, energetic hellos and a friendly smile for everyone she meets. Outside of her schoolwork, Taylor is incredibly active and well-rounded. She is a dedicated member of both dance and cheer, and when she isn't on the stage, she's at the bowling alley, where she is known for throwing plenty of strikes. She is a proud Girl Scout, learning leadership and community service. In her downtime, she enjoys reading the Goosebumps series, playing on her Nintendo Switch 2, or grabbing a slice of her favorite food, pizza. In the classroom, Taylor's favorite subject is science, fueled by her natural curiosity. She loves to do experiments. When asked about her inspiration, Taylor points directly to her mom and dad. She admires them as her role models because of the way they provide for her, and most importantly, for their unwavering support at her dance recitals and special events.
Zoe, you need candy, girl. Take 2 too. Look at all that chocolate. It's so good. Was that scary? No, you did great. It's for you. And you are candy, so I don't need it. Great job. Nice job, baby. Thanks so much.
Thank you both, ladies.
Mrs. Chavez, will you please announce the meeting?
This meeting has been announced in accordance with the New Mexico Open Meetings Act and the Los Lunas Schools Open Meetings Resolution, and is a legally constituted meeting of the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education.
Mrs. Chavez, are there any changes or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. President, there are no changes or deletions to the agenda this evening.
In that case, I would stand for a motion regarding the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
We have a Motion by Dr. Osowski. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mrs. C. Moya. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. C. Moya, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The agenda is passed by a vote of 4-0. Ms. Chavez, do you have any speakers?
We do have one speaker.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Before we move to public comment, I would like to remind our audience of our board procedures for handling public comment, which are found on Board Policy B2150 BEDH. Public comment is limited to 5 minutes per individual speaker. However, the board president may further restrict or waive these time limits based on the number of speakers. The board welcomes public input. The board does not prohibit public criticisms or comment upon personal matters, but does discourage personal attacks on board members, staff, personnel, and other persons. Presenters are cautioned that statements or representations concerning others that convey an unfavorable impression may be subject to the presenter to civil action. Any person making public comments shall be solely responsible for the content of his or her comments. The board neither adopts nor assumes responsibility for any comments made by individuals during the public comment section of the board meeting. Okay. Okay, we have, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it, Rise Romero? Is that correct? Is it? Reed? Okay, I'm sorry, Reese.
Good evening to the board and superintendent. My name is Reese Romero and I'm a sophomore from Los Lunas High School. I'm here today as a member of Evolvement on behalf of 24/7. As you might already know, the 24/7 campaign helps New Mexico school districts adopt, implement, and enforce truly comprehensive tobacco-free school policies. Under a truly comprehensive policy, tobacco and nicotine use, possession, and distribution is prohibited by anyone, anywhere, anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are so glad to see that the Los Lunas School Board is moving along the new nicotine policy updates that will bring the district into compliance with the New Mexico Public Health Department standards and the New Mexico School Board Association policy adversaries. Thank you for considering these necessary updates. We are in strong support of these changes, which 24/7 work closely with the SBA and PED on establishing. As a partner and a resource to Los Lunas schools, we want to highlight the ways that the 24/7 campaign can support your school in not only adopting, but properly enforcing these new policies so we can best protect students and staff within the district. We can provide bilingual tobacco-free signs and our parent and guardian toolkit, the 24/7 schools toolkit, and faculty training resources to all schools in your district at no cost. We have the toolkits with us today if you'd like us to leave them. Additionally, we offer free presentations to middle and elementary school students and we'll be happy to bring some to our district next year. On behalf of Evolvement, we thank you for taking the time to learn more about how we can support Los Lunas schools with these important changes. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your comments, Reese. Okay, we'll go to item F on the agenda. That's approval of consent items. I would stand for motion regarding the consent items.
Mr. President,
Dr. Osowski.
I move to approve the following consent items. Item G1, the approval, or item G, approval of minutes. Number 1, February 17th, 2026, regular board meeting. Item M, approval of Los Lunas Schools Board of Education nomination for the NMSBA scholarship. Item O, numbers 1, 2, 3. Item O, number 5, approval of general contract. Letter A, approval of award IFB 2026-004 HR to supply propane fuel and demand to Cross Country Vans Incorporated, doing business as Cross Country Propane Supply. Item O9, approval of MOU affiliate agreement between University of Southwest, College of Education and Los Lunas Schools for education diagnostic internship placement for students. Item O11, approval of field education agreement between Grand Canyon University and Los Lunas Schools 2026 through 2031. Item O12, approval of MOU between UNM College of Education and Human Sciences and Los Lunas Schools 2026 through 2029.
Okay, we've got a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve items number G1, February 17, 2026, regular board meeting. Item M, approval of Los Lunas Schools Board of Education nomination for the NMSBA scholarship. Item O1, Finance Committee items O1A, B, C, D, and E. O2, A, B, C, D, and E. Item 3, approval of budget adjustment request. Item number 05, approval of general contract, approval of award IFB 2026-004 HR to supply propane fuel on demand to Cross Country Vans Incorporated, doing business as Cross Country Propane and Supply. Item number 09, approval of MOU affiliate agreement between University of Southwest College of Education and Los Lunas Schools for education diagnostic intern placement for students. Item number 011, approval of field education agreement between Grand Canyon University and Los Lunas Schools, 2026 through 2031. And the last item is item 012, approval of MOU between UNM College of Education and Human Services and the Los Lunas Schools, 2026 through 2029. Do I have a second?
I'll second for discussion purposes.
Okay, we have a second. Wait, Mrs. Seymour. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Oh, for discussion
Oh,
purposes?
okay. Go ahead.
I just want clarification on
Okay.
this, Dr. Osowski's motion.
Yes.
In the past, we have approved, since there is quite a list of items for discussion remaining on the consent items, is it the intent of your motion, Dr. Osowski, to approve those items of general consent from all board members, and then to have a discussion motion for the remaining items on the consent items?
Correct, as we have done.
So that leaves us discussion items for the following. G, approval of minutes to March 10th, the special board meeting. N, the approval of the 2026 Idea B Policies and Procedures Manual. I'm going through the list here, guys. O, 4, approval of purchase curriculum, Associates Mid-School Math LLC and McGraw-Hill Curriculum and Instruction for Math Instruction Materials K-12 through, and this is through the 11,000 operational budget. O, 4B, approval of purchase curriculum Associates Curriculum and Instruction Math Manipulatives, again on Title I. Going through the list here. O6, approval of construction contract, approval of design professional contract to be Hill and Associates, Phase 2, Los Lunas High School Athletic Complex, and that's out of bond. O7, approval of MOU between Los Lunas Schools, Valencia County, and Los Lunas Schools for Summer Rec Program. 08, approval of education affiliate agreement between Unitech Learning and Las Lunas Schools to provide opportunities for educational experience for students in nursing and allied health programs. 010, approval of amendment number 2, contract 2025-06 for special audit services between Jaramillo Accounting Group and Las Lunas Schools. I think we came to an end. I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record for the notes. Okay. I have no further discussion.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
Yes?
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Consent items are approved by a vote of 4-0. Okay, well, at this time, we'll go to item number G2, March 10th, 2026, special board meeting. Dr. Osowski.
There was just a small correction that I noted. I've already spoken to Mrs. Wolf about it. It's on page 3. The citation for statute was listed as 22-54L. The correct citation should be 22-5-4, subparagraph L, NMSA 1978. That was the only thing that I noted for correction to the minutes.
Okay. Mrs. Wolf, you're aware of it and you've corrected it,
I've
right?
already done it, and I've already given copies of the board members with the correction.
All right.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to accept item G2, item G, approval of minutes, number 2, March 10th, 2026, for the special board meeting with the correction as noted.
I have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve item number G, approval of minutes. Item 2, March 10th, 2026, special board meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mrs. Seymour. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
Yes?
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes?
And I vote yes. That item is approved by a vote of 4-0. Now we'll move to Superintendent of Schools report. Susan D. Chavez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to start with the first item is the recognition of our NMAA State Wrestling Champions, and I would like to ask Mr. Seiss to approach the podium.
Thank you, Mrs. Chavez. Mr. President, members of the Las Lunas School Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to allow me to turn things over to someone else here to recognize a couple of our outstanding athletes from Valencia High School. First, I want to thank, first I want to stand before you as a proponent of athletics, for athletics. If it wasn't for athletics, specifically baseball, I would probably not be standing in front of you today. So I know the hard work that these two individuals have put in, and the same goes for all of our athletes in the district. So I next want to thank Mr. Brett Schramm and Josh Maddox for their efforts during this school year. They have done an amazing job as our activities and athletics managers at their specific school sites. If you've been to an athletic contest this year, and also attended previously, you see some changes that we're proud of. These gentlemen are a class act. They've done some amazing things on their campuses. They've embedded themselves into the school. Next, I do want to thank them for their efforts. Mr. Schramm is here this evening. He's actually pinch hitting for Mr. Hayes, our district athletic director, but I want to turn things over with pride and honor to Mr. Brett Schramm, and he's got some amazing announcements to make about two young, amazing individuals. So thank you, Mr. Schramm.
Mr. President, members of the Las Lunas School Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to speak about Valencia High School athletics. My name is Brett Schramm. I'm the athletic and activity manager for Valencia High School, Valencia Middle School. And I'm here to share and kind of celebrate the success of a couple of our student athletes. That's Dominic Suarez and Alexis Avis Lavas. If you guys want to come stand up here while I talk a little bit about you.
Superintendent report. Donna. I'm so sorry.
So first up, we have our one of our seniors, Alexis, who won the state championship this year on the girls 105 weight class. She,
Oh, but wait, I'm
sorry.
sorry. Who did she beat? Cleveland? Was that Cleveland? Is that big school, some little to the north of us? Yeah. That one? We're not, I'm sorry, we're not posted. Go ahead, continue, please.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Alexis is an excellent example of a student athlete. She maintains a cumulative GPA of 3.69. She started wrestling as a sophomore for VHS, where she took second place at regionals, and then followed it up with back-to-back first place at regionals in her junior and senior year. And then this year, as a sophomore, she also took second place at the state competition, third place as a junior, and then this year as a senior, first place and state champion. She has an overall high school record of 98-15, and this year had a record, I believe, of 30-1 going into the state tournament. In addition to that, Alexis will be doing her college signing and announcing where she'll be continuing her wrestling career next Wednesday at Valencia High School. So we're excited for that. And then I also have a certificate for an award that she recently won from the National Wrestling Coaches Association. She received the High School Character Leadership All-American Award for this year. Next up, we have our other state wrestling champion for this year, Dominic Suarez. Next slide. Dominic won the state championship in the 4A class, the 106 weight class this year. He's also another excellent example of a student athlete maintaining a cumulative GPA of 3.4. He's also a multi-sport athlete, played football this year, and is now playing baseball this spring. He is a sophomore. Last year as a freshman at regionals, he placed second, and then followed that up again this year with a second place as a sophomore at regionals. And then last year at state, placed third, and this year at state, obviously winning the state championship. And he has an overall high school record of 65-12, and I believe had a record of 35-6 going into the state tournament this year. But just another athlete that we're very proud of at Valencia High School.
And for the record, he beat Aztec. It's a little school. They don't do anything in wrestling. Nothing. So, yeah, sorry, wrestling groupie, so.
Any other comments?
Oh,
It's
Well,
okay, it's okay, it's okay.
oh, no, it's
Let me get their
okay.
picture. Let them get their picture.
Oh, you can give them their certificate. Do you wanna give them their certificate? Oh, you wanna give them their certificate?
Yeah, I've got it.
We'll let them- I guess I'll your picture first.
I don't want to mess it up.
Yep.
Okay, on behalf of the board, we have certificates also, certificate of recognition presented on this 24th day of March 2026 to Alexis Avis Labus by the Los Angeles Schools Board of Education. Congratulations on your multiple accomplishments as a member of the VHS wrestling team, including earning the title of Class 4A State Wrestling Champion. You have earned a place of honor in the history of Valencia High School and the entire Los Lunas School District. We have one certificate of recognition presented on this 24th day of March 2026 to Dominic Suarez by the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education. Congratulations on your multiple accomplishments as a member of VHS wrestling team, including earning the state Class 4A State Wrestling Champion. You have earned a place in the honor of the history of Valencia High School and the entire Los Lunas School District. Thank you.
I think they deserve a standing ovation.
I would say so.
Mr. President,
Yes.
For the record, everyone knows that I am a wrestling groupie. I had the privilege of watching each of them wrestle at multiple occasions. Didn't realize I was seeing history in the making, but was incredibly impressed. I'm sorry, I will forever know you by your weight. So you're expected to stay there because I'll come down and say, didn't you wrestle at 106? And you'll be 160 or 180 pounds and you'll say, that was a long time ago. And I don't want to offend you if I run into you at Albertsons. You're gorgeous. You're just going to stay that way. So anyways, we are so proud of you. And I speak from the wrestling community. Very, very proud of you. Love watching girls wrestling, by the way. Wish you was around when I was young.
Me too, that's why
Oh my God, go ahead. There you go.
Can I just say,
Sure.
not to make light of what you do, but I served on the NMAA board, and girls wrestling was just coming in about the time that I left, and so to you, I just have to say thank you for representing Los Lunas Schools and Valencia High School, and for standing out, because it wasn't easy. It started out with a couple of girls, maybe a couple of meets, and that was it. Never a state competition, and it's grown over the last 5 or 6 years. And so thank you so much for that, and thank you too for representing us so well. You know, parents, please be proud of your babies. They came up here and they represented well, and you can tell that they're well-spoken, they do well in school, and if anybody ever doubts what we've got in Los Lunas, just take a look.
I can only say that when you watch students do multiple things in high school and do them exceedingly well, enough to be the pride and joy, not just from this community, but across the state, that takes a certain amount of backbone and character and ethics and drive, something not many people have. So you not only have the accolades from the board in your community, but I also hope that you know just how uniquely special you both are. You have a drive that is incredible. We look forward to seeing amazing things from you, and we look forward to you continuing your leadership and your stellar performances. So congratulations. I hope you enjoy the moment, and we look forward to watching you.
Thank you.
Thank you, wrestlers. You represent our JAG Nation very well, and I wish you all the best in your collegiate experience. Go girls. Go Dominic. I would like to bring our Director of Facilities to the podium to provide our construction update for the month.
Members of the board, President Otero, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, we have something a little different for you tonight. Though we had many projects happening during spring break, we will bring an update at our next board meeting. Tonight, what we'd like to focus on is a recap of what's been happening or what happened at Peralta Elementary. So we have a bit of a slideshow pictures for you as I read kind of a summary of what we've gone through over the course of this project. So first, I would like to take this moment to express our sincere appreciation for the incredible work that has gone on in the planning and design and construction of the new Peralta Elementary School. The original Peralta Elementary has truly been the heart of its community. It carries with it years of history, memories, and a deep sense of pride and connection for generations of families. As we moved forward with this project, one of our guiding visions was to honor that legacy while creating a fresh learning environment that will serve and inspire future students. I believe the team accomplished this vision. The new school reflects both where we have been and where we are going. Though many of us would have liked for the new school to be constructed overnight, there are numerous steps along the way. From the initial application for PSCOC award funding, procurements, feasibility studies, educational specifications, surveying, water and soil testing, architectural design, and engineering to construction and all the details in between. I would like to recognize the many individuals and teams who made this possible. To our school board, those actively serving today and those who are part of the early phases, as well as district leadership, thank you for entrusting us with this monumental project. To our partners, PSFA and the PSCOC, we are sincerely grateful for the opportunities your support and funding have provided for our students and community. Your participation is making a lasting impact, both today and for years to come. Your guidance, collaboration, and commitment have given us a strong foundation for success, and we truly appreciate all that you have done to help bring this project to life. To Decker, the architects, the engineers, and the design teams, thank you for your thoughtful, intentional approach. You not only captured the spirit and legacy of the original school, preserving its history through images and design elements, but also created opportunities for future generations to contribute their own legacy. Your design shows both respect to the past and a vision for the future. Additionally, your ability to thoughtfully plan the new school within the footprint that allowed the existing campus to remain operational during construction demonstrates a deep understanding of the needs of students and staff. To Bradbury Stam, our contractor, all the subcontractors and skilled tradespeople, we are deeply grateful for your dedication and craftsmanship. You consistently went above and beyond, maintaining strong communication, keeping the project on track, and meeting critical deadlines to ensure everything was ready for the start of the school year. You navigated the complexity of work on an active campus with care and flexibility, always keeping students and staff in mind. One moment that stands out, though there are many, is when your team came together to provide a temporary sidewalk for a student who needed wheelchair access across a challenging route on campus. That action, done for a single student, spoke volumes. It truly reflected the district's motto, every student matters and every moment counts. To our community who makes projects like this possible, through the support of GO bonds and mill levies, you have invested in the future of our students and made it possible to create spaces where they can truly thrive. Your commitment goes far beyond buildings. It creates opportunities, it inspires growth, it strengthens the foundation of our schools for years to come. To the town of Peralta, we thank you for your partnership and generosity in allowing us to use your property across the street. With the complexity of this project and the challenges of a tight construction site, which may seem like a small gesture, made meaningful difference. Providing the space for overflow parking and staging gave our contractors the room they needed to work safely and efficiently, while allowing the schools to stay focused on what matters most, our students. To the Los Lunas School support staff, designing and building a school involves more than construction and architects. The Los Lunas Schools departments, facilities, transportation, student nutrition, special services, purchasing, special systems, security, technology, and the coordination with local agencies with the Los Lunas PD, Bosque Farms PD, and Peralta Fire Department. Each played a critical role, from bus lanes to kitchen designs, accessibility features, safety systems, first responder routes, connectivity, and contracts. Your contribution ensured that Peralta Elementary has everything it needs to operate from day one. To our various principals, teachers, and staff, those that were involved in the early education specification phase, or that contributed as part of the design committee, and those that braved the active construction site. This project asks for extra flexibility and patience. Thank you for sticking with us throughout all the challenges and adjustments along the way. Even with the campus challenges, your resilience and passion at Peralta shone through with a noteworthy growth in student testing results achieved during this time, highest among the district. Lastly, and most importantly, to our students of Peralta, you have truly inspired us. You showed us what resilience and adaptability look like in the most real and joyful way. Even without a traditional playground, you didn't miss a beat. You created your own fun, your own games, your own laughter. Through all the challenges, you kept showing up, you kept learning, kept growing in amazing ways. Seeing your smiles in the halls, your excitement filling your new classrooms, and the energy you bring to your new playground and field each day is what makes all this so special. Thank you for your creativity, your positivity, and for reminding us all what joy really looks like. A project like this required time, coordination, perseverance, and collaboration and commitment shown by everyone involved speaks to the strength of our district. And it shows dedication, then the shared dedication to doing what is best for our students. As we look ahead, the new Peralta Elementary will provide a safe, welcoming, inspiring environment where students can learn, grow, and succeed, just as they have for generations, now in a space built for the future. I would personally like to thank everyone who played a role in bringing this vision to life and for your continued dedication to our students and our community. Together, we have truly built a foundation for excellence. So thank you, and I'd like to just show a recap, a history of our construction project. There's no sound, but enjoy the pictures. So with that, I stand for any questions.
Comments, questions?
Are you exhausted?
No, surprisingly.
I have to tell you, I've enjoyed watching this project. And it amazes me, all of the details and all of the steps. My husband and I have done numerous remodeling things, and I don't know how you and your team handled the immensity of that project. It's a beautiful building. It's a wonderful contribution to our community, and I congratulate you.
Ms. Sanders?
This has been a long time coming. 2020,
I think
2018, 18
when
or
you applied
19.
for the award,
Yeah. Yeah.
it starts
So-
then, yeah.
Yeah. So, glad to see that it's finally finished and,
Close.
okay, I'll just say this.
Yeah.
And appreciate all that everyone has done to make that happen.
Ms. McMinn, you did just such an exceptional job of, in your presentation, of recognizing everybody that was involved. And I couldn't help but get choked up when I heard the passion in your voice when you were talking about the resiliency of the students. And you're feeling every bit of what they were feeling, and the joy and the setback, and I know that you've entrenched yourself into that Peralta community. As we look through the slides, anyone that thought that was going up overnight should just see that slideshow one more time, and that's fast forward, tell them. But incredible job to you, your entire team, the staff, the community of Peralta. Thank you so much. Couldn't have thought of a better person to lead.
Mrs. McMahon and Superintendent Chavez, that's one of the rewarding parts. I mean, facilities are kind of more my expertise. I mean, the education part is Dr. Osowski and Ms. Sanders, but, you know, I've learned to fill in on a lot of that. But over the years, I've been so fortunate to be involved with the numerous projects here at the district, starting at Valencia High School, Los Lunas High School, and a number of, and a lot of the elementary schools, but this one is special to me. I mean, that school site, I went to school there my first 5 years, from 1st through 5th grade. And when we saw the opportunity back in 2018, we went for it, and you know, I thought that it would never develop, you know, never develop. You know, we had, there's a couple of things you failed to mention. Was we had COVID in 2020, and then we also had the cost of living that also affected it. It went in way over what the expected budget was at that time, but at that school site, I lived next door. Growing up, I walked to school, and it was a community school. And throughout my years, you know, I've supported all the community schools at Bosque Farms. I was involved a lot at the tail end when they were doing that work, and we're hoping to do something with Raymond Gabaldon. But the bottom line is every elementary school is a community school. You know, whether it's in Tomei or whether it's in Valencia or wherever. I'm missing some others, but thank you for your patience, and thank you for keeping that project going. And I know there was a lot to achieve, so thank you and Superintendent Chavez for, you know, for keeping that up. And you know, I returned in time to watch it near its completion. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to submit a copy of the thank you letter to Mrs. Wolf for the record.
Sure.
Thank you, Mrs. McMinn. I would also just like to thank the team. Peralta was a dream come true, watching the new building come to life. We also want to announce that we will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony in late July, early August, now that we are near completion and we have enough parking for our attendees to safely park. So please be looking for that. That will happen in late July, early August. So coming soon. Thank you, Mrs. McMahon. I would like to invite Ms. Tracek to the podium to provide her presentations for the evening.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. So I have the state of finances. The first worksheet I have are the kind of a summary of the expenses. What we have in the first column is our fund number, and then the next column is the fund description. We have the budget authority amount, and that is the amount as of today. What I have on the OBMS, which is the system we use with the PED, that we are allowed to expend at this point in time. The next column is a column budget authorization after bars. So those would be the bars, if there are any bars that went through in this current month. So they would be the bars that you just approved today. The next column is spent or encumbered. These are the expenses that have gone through that have either had a check cut paid through a check cut or paid through accounts payable or payroll, or perhaps encumbered would be a purchase order that is open or part of a contract that has not been paid yet on a salary. Then the balance remaining would be budget authority after bars, less the spent or encumbered. And the last column is on a percentage remaining, so the amount of expense remaining for that fund. The first fund, the top point in operational, you can see that I highlighted in the budget authority after bars. That one is blue, and that usually what I highlight that in blue when there is a bar currently in this month's going to board tonight. And that is a bar that we had because the PED gave us our final unit value, and our final unit value increased by $75 per unit. So our program units that we had initially multiplied by $75, and ended up being a little over $1.2 million to add to the operational budget. You'll also see that there's a highlight in the 24101 Title I that also had a bar for an increase. That was the final award that was received on that fund also. And the last one that is highlighted in blue is 31703, our state match. We received an award for this year's state match money. So that is going to be able to be added to the budget. All of the funds added together, the percentage remaining is at 33%, and the prior month we were at 34%. Okay, the next worksheet I have is our revenue kind of summarized. Again, it has our fund number, our fund description, our budgeted revenue, and this is going to be just the revenue that is budgeted. So it may vary from the from when you look at the expense one that we just went over, where you have the amount of budget authority. There could be a difference in
in two numbers because when we're looking at the expense in the budget authority, that could be a fund that has a cash balance. So cash balance would be added to that where it wouldn't be on the revenue sheet. And then the next column is our revenue received in total for the fiscal year, which could be revenue that was derived from the prior year and could be revenue that's coming from this year. So to do that, I have separated the next column for prior year revenue, point out which funds came in that were generated from last fiscal year. Then the difference between the total revenue received and what was prior revenue is the current year's revenue. And then the balance remaining is the difference between the revenue, the current revenue from, excuse me, the budgeted revenue and the current revenue. Gives you your balance remaining and then your percentage remaining. And I just want to point out, normally, if you go to the bottom, I usually keep the months remaining. We have 3 more months of posting revenue of the 12 months makes that 33% remaining. And normally, the operational is spot on to where the revenue received is usually at that 33%. This month, we have it at 25% because we have received this in the month of March. We received the amount that we will receive because they increased us at $75 an hour, the unit value. So even though we're just putting in that bar, they've already made that adjustment to our SEG. So this month, we received the amount of what it will be on for the rest until June. So because of that, we've received more revenue than we're showing in the authority for revenue. So once that bar gets put in the system, we'll be back on track at the right percentage. Let's see. Then if you go through all the funds, we have a 30% remaining revenue where we were at 38% last month. That is all I have on these reports. Are there any questions for these reports, either the expense or revenue?
I'll let you start at that one.
Ms. Sanders.
I do not have any questions.
Ms. Moya.
Yes, Ms. Tracek, on Fund 25157, the Child Care Block Grant from CYFD, I understand the pupil transportation, we're always in the hole on that one. Can you explain that one a little bit? Is this eventually going to get reimbursed, or what is the story on that? We seem to be...
That one is a story, that's one, I'd say sort of like transportation, where every year, as far as I can recall, operational always ends up supplementing that fund.
Okay.
That is where we have our like Brad's Babies, that program where we have the students, and we have people watching the kids there. But it depends on what kids are in that program at the time. If they're CYFD kids, then we receive revenue for it. So it kind of looks weird on this because I did not budget any revenue to come in for this current year, but we are receiving revenue. Because if you look last year, I budgeted revenue for that fund to come in, and none of the kids there were CYFD kids, so we didn't receive a penny that year. So because of that, the only budgeting that I did was any cash that I had remaining from the prior year. But I did not budget any revenue for that fund. But we ended up that we are receiving some. So that's why it's in the negative, because there's no budget for revenue, but revenue's coming in.
Okay, thank you.
However, it never does come in to the extent of the...
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Sowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I had a couple of questions. So first of all, I'm really excited to see the HQIM implementation grant. After attending the conferences last weekend, got to hear a lot about HQIM grant, even brought home the flyers. So I was happy to go back and find that we had applied for that and that we have been spending it down. And I am happy to see that we've been spending down on the Attendance Success Initiative. So Fund 27584, still would like a summary on what those activities are. However, in one of the work sessions that I attended, it was on HQIM, High Quality Instructional Materials. They talked about if we had cash carryover in two accounts, the 14,000 and the 27,109, I'm looking for my notes, to help with, or that we could use towards the adoption this year. And I'm not seeing either of those listed, either, 14,000 or the 27,109. Do we not have them? We didn't have cash carryover? What happened there?
We did not have cash carryover. I was really shocked. I went also to that workshop, and I couldn't believe that there were some school districts that still have that money. At the time, I thought we had to spend it right away. So our instructional material money, that fund, has been gone for 3-4 years or something like that. So it's
they
been
talked about
a very
it being
long time.
Right, they talked about that being a leftover from ARP.
And then the 27109, that fund, I thought that, I remember they wanted us to spend it right away. They did not want us to start spending any new money until that money was gone on it. So we spent that down a couple years ago also. So we do not have those funds at all.
Okay.
Because now all instructional material is embedded into the SEG,
Right.
and so we've just been spending it out of there.
Okay, thank you. Those are my only questions.
And I really don't have any questions. I thank you, Mrs. Tracek. I always have a lot of confidence in
Thank you.
your county. Thank you.
Mr. President, board members, Ms. Simoia, one unknown about the child care grant, we do have the recently passed universal child care. We are still waiting to see what that will actually look like and how those funds will start to trickle through. So it will be for all young children that are in a child care program, which grads would qualify as one. So it's yet to be determined how those funds will start to trickle through. There is still an application process that needs to be completed by the parents, so there are steps that parents have to take. So it's not just for students who are in CYFD custody anymore. So that may change our funding allocation and the balance.
Okay, before I go into the audit, I wanted to bring up the budget timeline. Kind of go over that. So, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. So this is just kind of a little summary recap of all the dates towards the budget. Starting off with the first one, in the first part of February, we met with principals to go over the budget. We have questions for the budget and for the principals. They go through it. We also go over kind of where we're expecting numbers to be for students, and kind of Mr. Seitz goes over what they think staffing will look like. They bring up items that they feel that maybe we ask about our allocations, how are those kind of rated, give it an idea. We go through quite a few things at those, and they've been very informative, and sometimes we're able to find ways to find a solution to their problems. So we started that right away and got those completed back in the beginning of February. Last week was the spring budget workshop, March 18th through the 20th. And so a couple of us went over to see that. They had some information for us. We found out the initial unit value at the spring budget workshop, which sometimes we don't get that soon, so that was a good point. The next thing we have is the next April 14th, we have our first board workshop on the budget. And that will be at 5 o'clock here in the boardroom. And let's see. After that, we'll have a budget presentation at the board meeting on April 14th at 6 p.m. Next will be the parent advisory public hearing will be held on April 20th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom. And the next will be the budget presentation to the NEA will be on April 21st at 4 o'clock. Then again, we will have a regular board meeting budget presentation on April 21st at 6 p.m. A board work session budget presentation on April 28th. And a budget presentation at the board meeting on April 28th, 6 p.m. Hopefully the final board approval on that day for the budget. And believe it or not, we actually, at Spring Budget Workshop, we were able to get with our budget analysts, and we received our due date for the budget is May 14th. First thing in the morning, we have to have everything due up in Santa Fe. So that's big. Normally, we don't have these, all these dates so soon, so, excuse me.
Bless you.
Glad that we have our budget day. Do you have any questions or concerns?
Well, I have a comment, and Superintendent Chavez, and you and I have discussed, we're the board on that April 14th day. We're going to have a lot of questions, and we've looked at the number of students that we've had, and we've over a period of time we've dropped about 1,000 kids, and so we as a board, we're concerned about what that means to our budget, and I know you've been working on that and working with your staff on positions and how we're going to deal with this, and I've been through some rough times back starting in 2008 when we had the Great Recession, and this is going to be kind of similar to that. There's a lot of things that we don't know, and you've been looking for those answers. So, I just wanted to let you all know that we're going to be asking a lot of questions. The board members, I would say, be prepared to come on that day and ask a lot of questions. And we're responsible for approving a budget, and we want to be part of that. So, Ms. Sanders.
Yeah, I just want to point out that I've asked probably since January, knowing that I happened to be on the other side of that in 2008, when Los Lunas Schools had to cut 92 people. And I'd like to see the history with enrollment, program units, staffing, organizational charts, dollars associated with it, cuts that we've moved out of federal funds into operational funds from ESSER and ARP, and any other federal fund that was temporary. I'd like to see that over time and how it's reflected with the program units that we have now, and the program units that we had over at least 5-6 years, because I think it's going to be very difficult to understand if we don't see what has happened historically, especially if you're new on the board and you haven't seen it and don't know. I think it would help the community as well as the staff to understand why, if certain things have to be cut, why they have to be cut, and I think that's sometimes glossed over. And I'll be really honest, I don't think an hour is gonna do it at any point in time in this timeline. Anytime that you're actually talking to the board, it's an hour. An hour each time, and without that information and an ability to digest it, I don't know. I mean, I'm more concerned about people understanding why the district has to do what the district has to do at that point in time. And make sure that it, you know, we understand it so we can answer.
I agree. So we are open to extending the time, starting earlier. I know that everybody has schedules that they have to be committed to as well, but we are more than willing to extend the time, especially for those work sessions.
Mr. President?
Yes.
That was going to be my comment. In the last 2 years, we have never gotten through a work session in an hour on budget, and especially spaced 2 weeks apart. We were in here 1 year every week for, I think, 2 hours to 3 hours, and this year is going to be more massive than the first year when we had all of the ESSER funds go away. So I would really like consideration, please, for us to drop that time back, because we have too many things to know and digest.
Yes.
And understand, and I know we're asking a lot from you guys, and I know you guys are running on thin air about this point in time, but this is such a big lift. So we, as Mrs. Sanders says, we have to understand the history, how we got here, what's the ramifications, and it takes time to process.
All right, well, I think that, I know the three of us can work things out. We'll have to see what we can do with Sonia. I know she works.
Yeah, I don't have my work schedule in front of me, so I can't commit to that without viewing my school schedule. I do agree, it takes more than a single hour for us to do this.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with a little bit of the history, but I too have been out of budget and planning for quite some time. So the opportunity to see historic of what happened when I wasn't on the board to where we are now. I know where it was when I was on the board previously, but there is a whole section that I'm missing. Positions came and went and stuff like that. And keep in mind, this is for support of the budget and the changes that we have to make. Not any kind of a punitive participation. It's, we need to understand this is one of our responsibilities. So, Mr. President, if you want to push that to a 4 p.m., or I don't know if you were thinking of a 3 p.m. or a 4 p.m. conversation, you know, I will get in just as soon as I can. I don't think it's a required for work session.
Well,
Yeah.
I think 4 p.m. would be,
Yeah.
I think that would work. 4 p.m.
Does it help if we added days some, or is it easier if you just have to come on one day?
My schedule is usually made about 60 days in advance, so changing meetings for clients
One day
is
better.
difficult. 1 day is better to say, to come
Yeah.
earlier. So-
And
Hold on, Miss.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, members of the board, just as a reminder, on the 14th, you already have, we have scheduled on that day, we have audit committee at 3:30, we have finance at 4, so the soonest you could be able to do this would be 4:30, that's pending, if you have this done in time, if you choose to do it on Tuesday the 14th. You also have a special meeting on the 14th that we set very limited things to. If I may, you have the minutes, the audit, and then the budget, then the scholarship things, but,
Well,
that was
would that work if we pushed it to 4:30 and then, since we are talking budget on the meeting, we can continue there?
open to whatever you like, you all would like, but I remind you that we have those 2 meetings that are committed.
We also have a work session on the 28th, but that's kind of a last chance
That's kind of late.
meeting, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of late.
Mr. President, I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
And I know that this does crunch time. However, if we wanted to provide and dedicate the time that's necessary for this presentation, all the information that is necessary, I would propose that we have a meeting, and I know it's another meeting, but on April 17th. I got tired, April 7th. And we start at 4 o'clock, and it would be specific to only a work session for the budget. We could provide all this information, so then the board has time to review the information, and then come back the next week, and we can continue with our schedule. But that first board work session on April 7th would give us plenty of time just to provide this presentation. It's going to take quite some time to go through all of this information. And I
Okay,
think
well-
we can dedicate,
I'm kind of throwing it out to the board now, and this is not a vote, but April 7th from 5, say 2 hours?
or we start at,
Do you want to start at 4?
we could start at 4,
Okay,
and it's on the 7th, so that we don't have a meeting that's backed up to that. It could be a work session where we could have
Yes.
time to have a full discussion, a work
Yeah.
session.
would that work?
I believe so. I'm just double checking something really quick. I believe that, I think it'll be just absolutely fine.
I don't.
Your work phone? I carry 6 phones, I think. That looks good to me. Looks perfect.
How'd you get back with you?
Okay, so, with all due respect, we're gonna have to make a decision sooner than later on that, so that we can get this.
I would make this be,
agenda.
it would appear you have a majority of board members that can guarantee. I will do my effort to get here or at least
So
participate
we
by
can
phone.
put that on your announcement of meetings,
I would recommend it.
Yeah,
perhaps, yeah.
4 to 6?
You could just say at 4.
At 4.
Just 4 o'clock? Well, as long as you guys want it, I mean,
But we can dedicate the full time to this presentation, so that there's plenty of time for questions, discussions, et cetera.
yeah, okay. All right. All right, sorry, okay.
That's okay, I actually have a question.
Teddy, that worked for you.
Do we also want to change the April 14th work session to 4:30?
Yeah,
Following the
Yes.
finance
Yes.
meeting. Yeah, following finance meeting.
yeah, following finance.
So 4:30 with a little thing, and they could meet in the finance committee, yeah.
So audit
Yeah.
has to get out.
Yeah.
It will probably go fast. Audit.
Sure.
No promises, but.
I think that presentation on April 7th will provide plenty of time, so then board members have time to review. We have time to go back and ask your follow-up questions, and then provide that the next week.
Well, and Mr. President, I just want to point out that in a school district's budget, 85–90% is people.
Yep.
And so you can cut little teeny pieces here and there, but the crux of it has to be, and we just need to understand that, and so does the community. So I know it's a lot.
Yeah,
Been there, done that.
yeah, exactly, I went through that, yes.
And we do have to look at our trends in enrollment. We have steadily declined in the last 10 years. And this year has been a sharp decrease.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, for audit, believe it or not, our annual audit has been completed, and hot off the presses today, they are printing our reports right now, and we have scheduled for April 14th at the regular board meeting to have our auditors here to present the audit and hopefully be accepted by the board.
Okay.
And our special audit is ongoing. There is an extension letter to have it extended to April 30th. That is all I have to report on audit. Are there any
Yeah.
questions?
Well, just a comment, and I'll just forward to Superintendent Chavez. We do have Superintendent Chavez did request the extension through April 30th, and if you please confirm that to the board.
Yes, there has been an extension. It's on the agenda this evening to extend that special audit through April 30th, with the deadline being April 30th.
And no more, to my knowledge,
I do
it
not,
won't be extended anymore. It'll conclude on the April 30th.
the Office of the State Auditor is pretty certain that it must be done by April 30th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Tracek. Next on the report is our presentation of the K-12 math adoption materials and process, and I would like to turn this over to Ms. Chavez.
Mr. President, member of Los Lunas Schools Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about our K-12 math adoption materials and process. And I would like to turn it over to Ms. Monica Rivera, Director of Elementary Programs, and Ms. Chelsea Cervantes, Director of Secondary Programs. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the School Board of Education, and Superintendent Chavez. We again wanted to thank you for the opportunity to present to you our recommendation and processes for the math HQIM adoption. Before we dive into this, I do want to do a special thank you to all of the teachers and other individuals who helped out in this process. It's an intense process, and teachers willingly utilized their time, their professional development time, to really dive into these materials and try to determine what supports will best serve our community. Okay, so we begin our presentation tonight with just an overview of the instructional materials that were available through the HQIM approved list from the state of New Mexico. You can see here that it's broken up into our grade bands, K-5 for elementary, 6-8 for middle school, and 9-12 for high school. Listed underneath each of the columns are the vendors that participated in this approval process. We also have our committee members, which consisted of elementary, middle, and high school math teachers, instructional coaches, and district leadership. We also, within our processes, work with the community, and we will discuss that as we go further into our slides as well. So we do have a couple of extra slides that are not being projected this evening, so I'm going to talk through them. We do have a blueprint for our math growth. As we went through this process, we understand that math it's a conversation nationwide right now. How do we help our students with math literacy? And so in order to understand the conversation, we did some extra research trying to understand what's going right in places where it is going right. And so we looked at top performing states, and we looked
we recognize that in states such as Mississippi, Utah, Texas, we're looking at the NAEP data, and these states are really showing significant growth through that NAEP data. And of course, we wonder, the question is, what are they doing to get that growth? When we looked at these areas, really what we found was a shared blueprint for success. This includes data-driven intervention, utilizing diagnostics to identify gaps and provide targeted support. This is, we referenced this earlier in the work session, the Mississippi Miracle, which we also recognize doesn't just fall from the sky. It has a lot of hard work that went behind that, and we're ready to step into that work. We're also looking at adaptive technology, leveraging personalized software to supplement teacher instruction and close individual learning gaps. The Utah model used this quite a bit. We can leverage AI instructional platforms to help give in the moment feedback to students and help build skills. That was one of the strategies used in these really high growth states. And then also a rigorous conceptual core, a comprehensive HQIM. And so, oh, here we go. And so really utilizing the HQIM as the HQIM is intended to be utilized. Ensuring that there's comprehension and comprehensiveness between our HQIM materials, and ensuring that teachers have the opportunity to get high quality professional learning opportunities for high quality implementation. So we're really looking at implementation science and trying to utilize that model so that teachers are highly supported in the use of the HQIM. And I already discussed that one.
Okay, so looking at our K-12 math HQIM adoption timeline, we started this process back in August. That is when the state released the list of possible publishers. And from there, we started contacting those publishers, shared with them that on October 14th, we were going to have a professional development day at Los Lunas High School. And we're asking any vendor that was interested to be able to come and present and share with our teachers. From there, from October to December, it gave our staff and teachers an opportunity to complete, it says surveys, but truthfully it was a rubric to narrow down those publisher options. Then from January to February, it gave the teacher teams, teacher math committee, an opportunity to evaluate those finalists, narrow down that list again, and then send out those community surveys to all of our stakeholders. And now we're in March, and the final recommendation and board presentation for our HQIM math adoption process. As I mentioned before, we did have our Los Lunas School Professional Development Day on October 14th at Los Lunas High School. We had all of the vendors on the list in attendance, and it really was a sight to be seen. Our teachers, I'm sure you all have seen many times when you're at Los Lunas High School, you have that big entrance, right, the big hallway that leads into the cafeteria. That entire walkway was completely filled with vendors, and all of our staff, not only just teachers, but all staff, had an opportunity to visit and meet with the vendors at Los Lunas High School, and they were there from the morning until the afternoon. And so it was a really neat opportunity. I
kind of took it from Chelsea from last year when we did that with science, and now we replicated that for math, and it was a very successful process. So this is where we also started meeting with our math committee, K-12, and we started to share what that evaluation process was going to look like. So we established what the criteria was going to be for looking at each individual publisher, and we started with the 2025 New Mexico Math Framework, as well as our own Los Lunas K-12 rubric. Then from there, we vetted those materials to make sure that they met that threshold of recommended by the state. And then, as I mentioned before, we conducted our vendor walk to evaluate each of those individual publishers. And it definitely was deeper than just the vendor walk. Teachers, which I'll share next, had a very large amount of time that they were able to review these materials, which really was helpful in the process. And of course, we ensured that as we scored these materials, it was all based it was an evidence-based selection process that aligned directly to the rubric. So our material review, we started with making sure that we could have all of these options available to all of our teachers, all of our administrators or coaches. And so one of the ways that we guaranteed that could happen was by utilizing the Padlet. And so the Padlet was it's a very simple link. We shared it. We created columns for each individual publisher, and as they sent those materials into us, we uploaded those materials. That might have given them digital access with like a password and a login specifically for the state of New Mexico so that they were able to access those materials. It could have been sample digital materials that were in a PDF format, but all of that was available for the district as a whole. We also provided them with additional resources for the math adoption that consisted of items shared by the state, which were the summer review items, the New Mexico State standards, and any materials that specifically align to this adoption process. As I mentioned, the timeline was very large that we were able to give our teachers to review these materials. So they had from October 14th until December 19th to preview and review all of the available publishers. Publishers also sent items or textbooks, depending on whatever their kit consisted of, to each individual school site, which was very helpful so that they had the option of not only digital, but they had the option of hands-on as well, to be able to review. And also giving them this larger timeline provided them the opportunity to do this as they met collaboratively with their grade level teams or their subject content area. And so again, it gave a good amount of time to really dive deep into the materials and to align it with the rubric, or to see how it aligned with the rubric. On the chart that's presented right now, you can see that we had 5 top contenders that landed above that 80% with those that were reviewed, and those 5 were what we will move on to going into January for our next professional development day. That's okay. So on the next slide, you will start to see what we are doing for what we did for our January. So for our January Professional Development Day, our math committee met again, and this time we were able to begin with reviewing those rubric results that were shared on the previous slide. We conducted our discussion about what the remaining adoption process would look like, and we further examined those instructional materials. And so we talked about what were pieces that were very important that needed to be included in those materials, and the teachers had an opportunity to review as the committee each one of those publishers, those 5 top publishers individually, and
that is where we will move on to what the recommendation is, but I am going to turn it over to Chelsea, who's gonna explain a little bit more, because one jump that I guess I should have mentioned before was we went from K-12 when we started in October to K-8 at this time, and Chelsea will give more details as to why that shift occurred. Oh, sorry, I'm missing a slide, I apologize. Our math adoption committee, the results in January from the opportunity for each individual committee member to review those materials are up on the screen. So mid-school math was at 100%, iReady was at 88, and Eureka Math was at 75%. And these were the 3 top contenders that moved forward and were shared with the community and all stakeholders on our survey that was shared out in the month of February. So as Mr. Barra mentioned, we had to kind of do a little bit of a fork in the road, if you will, as we went through this process and we discussed what the needs were at our high schools. We recognized that we needed to take a beat to do a little bit more of a deep dive into how high school math pathways are changing. You'll see here on the screen that the state of New Mexico is in the midst of a transition from a traditional math pathway to a modernized high school math pathway. So we are all very familiar with the traditional pathway, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. Students, sophomores and above right now are all on this traditional pathway and will continue to finish out their high school experience in this pathway. We know that they were very familiar with the idea that they all need Algebra 2 at minimum or higher in order to graduate. For our current freshman class, the cohort of 2029, this changes a little bit. And we look at a modernized pathway that moves from Algebra 1 to a course that will eventually replace geometry, which is called Geostats, and then on to Algebra 2, Modern Algebra 2, which will now be comprised of 2 one-semester courses. The first semester will be the same for everybody, and then the second semester diverges into 3 different options. And before I get too much further into this, I do want to recognize 2 individuals who really helped our teachers get through this process, really dive in deep into the why behind this and what we're doing and how we're going to get it done. Miss Amanda McCleary is with us tonight. She's one of our academic coaches for the high schools, and then also Mr. Matthew Kuntzis, who is a math teacher at Valencia High School, was also very dynamic in ensuring that we had the discussions that we need to in order to do this process justice. Mr. Kuntzis was part of the task force with the state that helped look at the research from the Dana Center that ultimately brought about this new modernized pathway. So we were very fortunate to have an expert in the room to help guide these conversations. So as I mentioned, through NMPED guidance, by the 28-29 school year, the modernized pathway must be fully implemented. So that's our time frame, which happens to fall right in the middle of all the adoption stuff. So here we're trying to really understand the why behind everything, and we looking at all of the documentation that the state has provided so far so that we can ensure that we're getting ahead of this and getting the materials that are necessary for our students and teachers to find success. In October, we introduced and discussed the upcoming math pathways, and we participated in the vendor fair. We had the discussions, and we moved forward with a rubric. And by the time we reached that December 19th deadline, it was very clear that we really needed to take a step back. We needed to slow the process down for 9 through 12 so that we could have the appropriate discussions and ensure this really deep understanding of the new pathways. And so that's
at that December date is when we decided to pivot a little bit here in our high school pathway. So why do we want these options? This is really in alignment with everything that the state of New Mexico is trying to bring about in high school education, and it really centers around student voice and choice. And so for students who continue on to Algebra 2, again, they will all take the same first semester, but the second semester will now be differentiated based off of the student's future aspirations. So this will be very intimately tied to the next step plan. First off is advanced algebraic concepts. This is going to be for kids going into really heavy STEM fields, like physics, engineering, even finance, because there's a lot of heavy mathematical modeling that needs to happen there. And you can really think of this one maybe more as the most traditional Algebra 2 route. This is going to feel the most like your traditional Algebra 2 class that we are more familiar with. The second option is going to be Intro to Data Science and Statistics. This one is for the interpretation of statistical models. So students may not have to build the models, but they are going to have to understand the models, their importance, and the impact of that thinking within their field. So this one is looking at business, allied health, nursing, social and behavioral sciences. And then last but not least, we have quantitative reasoning. I really like to think about this one as like Algebra 2 for everyone else, because this is understanding the stories that statistics tell us. And I don't know about you, but every single day I'm looking in the news and there are statistics, and the news is trying to tell me stories through statistics. I'm trying to be sold products through statistics. So this is how we empower ourselves to be savvy citizens, right? So we're looking here at an Algebra 2 class that is more driven towards students in the liberal arts, political sciences, history, and English. So in January, we, again, like I said, we took the step back. We did a deep dive into the why behind these pathways. Really great conversations were had, just really trying to understand where are we now and why do we want to move forward into these new directions. Between January 26th and February 13th, we held individualized sessions. So teachers could come and look specifically at the shifts that would be necessary to make this a reality. So for instance, we had a day dedicated to geometry moving to geostats. We had a day dedicated to Algebra 1, to Algebra 2. So we brought all of these teachers who are subject matter experts and started having these discussions. They dove into what standards are moving, where and why. What is still being focused on and what is not still being focused on. And if it's not being focused on in this course, where did it go? So we had lots of these really great discussions. After that, in February 24th and 25th, we had a community outreach and informational Zoom that was held on 2 nights intentionally so that we would be as accessible to the community as possible. If you had something going on the one night, potentially you could make it the next night. And then after that, we released the survey for feedback so that the community could let us know what they felt would best support their students during this time frame. And all of this, we really felt it was important to have this informational Zoom prior to the survey being released, because there's a lot of changes coming. And so we really wanted to make sure that our parents and community members had the opportunity to be educated about those changes coming down the pipeline. There's just some pictures of our crew. Down in the bottom left, you'll see our core math adoption group. And then the pictures around it are just some of that standards work, alignment work, and the why behind it. That was a lot of the work that they did there. So why are we doing all of this? First of all, we need a high-quality instructional material that is aligned to our Common Core state standards. It needs to also be aligned to our SAT and PSAT readiness and our Los Lunas Schools math pathways. So these were 3 pillars that really guided the conversations that we had with our high school math teachers in order to ensure that we're setting up our students for success. At the end of these individual sessions, our teachers once again went into the materials. They rated these materials based off of our rubric. And you'll see here, for Algebra 1, McGraw-Hill, Savvis, and HMH were our 3 top vendors. The same for geometry. Algebra 2 had a little bit of a change there with McGraw-Hill, Imagine Learning, and then Savvis. And because of the switch from geometry to geostats, in the work that our teachers did, it was really determined that to do this new pathway justice, we are going to need a dedicated statistics book to allow the students to have correct access to the materials necessary to reach those standards. So there were 2 statistics books on the approved list, and they tied in the eyes of our teachers.
So jumping back to K-8, we wanted to make sure that we had as much outreach to our community as possible when it came to an opportunity for all of our stakeholders to be able to preview the three chosen material options, which were iReady, Eureka Math, and Mid-School Math. We opened up the survey the week of parent-teacher conferences, and that allowed for our community members or our parents to come in to the schools if they would like to and preview those materials, whether they wanted to do it hands-on. School sites had iPads ready if they prefer to do it digitally. We also made sure to include it inside, embedded in those remind messages with clickable links that they could access those materials digitally, and then also it included a parent flyer. Again, another way just to make sure we were having that communication as consistent as possible within the actual survey, those same links were available so that if they missed it on the remind message, then they definitely saw it on the survey. And a step further is we also made sure that we had additional communication via social media so that if they didn't check the remind, maybe they checked social media. And then individual school sites were really great about sharing that information as well as parents came in for parent-teacher conferences. So it was a great time to capture our community's responses. Our community survey, we were really pleased with the amount of responses that we received, and so we had a good variety of stakeholders provide responses. 47.3% of it were responses from our parent or guardian of students in Los Lunas schools, as well as a variety of teachers and Los Lunas school staff members, community members, and we made sure just to add a category on both of our surveys that captured whether or not they were solely a parent or guardian, or if they held a dual role by being a Los Lunas school staff member, in addition to, again, being a community member or a parent or guardian. Our K-8 recommendation was overwhelmingly for the combination of iReady and Mid-School Math. There was a small percentage that was in favor of Eureka and Mid-School Math combination, but those two, whether it was a combination of K4, K5, those were the 2 top contenders. And so for kindergarten through 4th grade, the recommendation is iReady, and 5th through 8th grade, the recommendation is for Mid-School Math.
So to continue about our community outreach piece for the 9-12, adoption. Again, we had a Zoom happening on February 24th to 25th, which was held in the evening. This was to educate stakeholders about our new math pathways. You can see on the right side, there are just a few screenshots there of the slides that were utilized in this presentation. The top slide is referencing our pathway to the modernized school, or excuse me, the modernized math pathway for Los Lunas schools. Our goal next year will be to pilot GeoStats at one of our high schools, and then the following school year, GeoStats will go live across the district. We will pilot the modernized Algebra 2 and then reach the stated timeline in 28-29 for full implementation of modernized Algebra 2 for the full modern math pathway within this process. The second middle snapshot there is just a breakdown of the choices that students will have when they are figuring out what math they want to take that will best suit them. Again, like I said earlier, this is something that's going to be very much tied to their next step plan and what their future goals and aspirations are. All students are required to take Algebra 1 and GeoStats, and then from there they can branch off into their varying math pathways depending on their future goals. And the last one is our vendor options. So it was really important after discussing with teachers just raw scores for the data that we had looked at in reference to our rubric. We also really talked a lot about alignment and how, when we're talking about implementation, how do we ensure that teachers and students are having the best support that they can through the materials that we purchase. So these three options were based largely on the raw feedback scores from our teachers, and then also taking into account the pedagogy of each of these products, so that there's alignment. We didn't want students to experience like a whiplash of we're teaching math this way out of this product or material and resource, and then we're teaching math from a different pedagogy or different lens from another product. And so when we're looking at this, our three options were, first one was McGraw-Hill, Reveal Math all the way across with the elementary statistics book to support GeoStats. The next one is Savvis, again, with the McGraw-Hill geometry and elementary statistics option to create continuity within that course. And then the third option was HMH with McGraw-Hill, and you'll see again that same kind of pairing there in order to help maintain continuity for students and teachers, and also allow us the best way forward to provide high quality professional learning. We released the community survey on February 25th through March 2nd. And within this survey, links to the resources were available, as well as links to the slide deck that was presented on the Zoom meeting in case you couldn't make that Zoom meeting. So we had 44 responses. Many of them were parent or guardians of a student in our Los Lunas schools. And then we also had a few teachers or combination teacher and parent, and even a couple of students responded to this survey. Taking into account all of the feedback, our 912 recommendation is McGraw-Hill Reveal Math for Algebra 1, Geometry Algebra 2, and with the addition of the McGraw-Hill Elementary Statistics book.
At the beginning of the presentation, Mr. Cervantes talked about making sure that we could replicate the success in Los Lunas schools that some of these various states have experienced in Mississippi, Utah, and Texas. And so really trying to find where within these recommended instructional materials we are finding those proven state strategies and aligning those within those instructional materials. iReady really focuses and provides that alignment with Mississippi and Utah by looking at those the diagnostic data that is available within the digital platform in iReady. It is adaptive and very personalized for each student's individual instruction. It also allows for us to provide those targeted interventions and helps us to close those foundational gaps that we know currently exist. Mid-school math very much aligns with Texas and Utah by really using the strategy of giving our students that story-based conceptual understanding with mathematics. There are opportunities within mid-school math as well for practice with those rote mathematical practices. However, it allows students to have that productive struggle, and I have never seen students so excited and engaged with a math program. Some of the comments that were made on our on the community survey were parents commenting and saying, my child's never been excited about math before, and now they have mid-school math in 5th grade, and they're over the moon, and they are understanding math from a different lens, and they're excited to go to school for that, which is, I know, as mentioned before, one of our goals. If we make school a place of engagement, our students are going to want to be there. And then lastly, with Reveal Math, with our 9-12 students, again, a very highly vetted HQIM option. It blends that piece of mathematical fluency with the inquiry-based conceptual application so that we're preparing our students for graduation and even beyond graduation. Thank you. We now stand for any questions.
I know. We're squinting up here.
This little light comes back on.
Ms. Sanders?
No, I don't have any questions.
Ms. Moya?
Extremely comprehensive report. Thank you guys for all the work you've put into this. This is great. Thank you.
I have a few. I know you're stunned. You could look more stunned. Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for the amount of time and the effort that you put into this. This is an improvement by 1,000% from what I've seen over the last 2 years. So it shows your dedication and that you're listening to what the board has been saying. I especially appreciated that last slide where you tied it back, because I know one member of the board who is not here tonight has said, I think one time a little emphatically, why do we keep doing the things that we've been doing and getting the same results? And I think his quote was, I'm frustrated. So I think if he were here tonight, I don't think he would be saying that. I don't know him that well, but I know I'm not feeling frustrated. So first of all, commendations for that. Now I'm going to talk about fidelity of implementation. What does that look like for you guys? Because if we're going to do a pull-apart curriculum, DeFore presented the priority standards 25 years ago. That has really not helped this state whatsoever. If we're going to leave other instructional materials out there so I can have it out, so when you do your walkthroughs, I've got the things I'm supposed to have on my desk versus the stuff I'm actually using. If we're not having coherent collegial conversations about one instructional source and all digging in so it's all in the boat together or the boat just falls apart, I'm really concerned about fidelity of implementation because this is a $2 million purchase.
Yeah. We have had so many conversations about this, and I know that we've learned a lot through our HQIM implementation grant this year about implementation science. And so we are really ready to build on that foundation. And so what does it look like? It looks like we're utilizing this instructional material inside of our classrooms every day, every lesson, because that's what's right to do. We cannot supplement ourselves to death before we even understand if or where the gaps exist inside of any given material. So when we look at implementation science, we're looking at that 5-year implementation to get to really solid, that core understanding of like where are our students getting it, where are they not, and what do we need to do to help them.
Well, it's also the teachers.
It absolutely is. And so that professional development has to be layered in there with it. And we are very intent on our professional development being grounded inside of our HQIM. One of the things that research is really showing us, right, I love research because it just says stuff that we already know, but we have something to back it up and, and then like a leg to stand on. But it's telling us that our, for years we've done professional development based off of models of like strategies and best practices, but we haven't taken the final step to ground that strategy or best practice inside of the instructional material. And so because of that, there's a gap. There's an implementation gap in that instructional material, because we're saying, hey, you need to do, you know, whatever it is, you know, turn and talk, or we need to get to that metacognition level, or whatever we want to be that driving force for that professional development, but we're disconnecting it from the instructional material. So what we have to do is ensure that the strategy is embedded inside of that material, so that that brain work, that little gap that happens, we bridge it. And so those are the things that we've really discussed as a team to say we're bringing in professional development that is grounded inside of this HQIM. We're helping teachers understand how best to implement the HQIM, and then utilizing the assessments so that we have data-driven information so that we can understand what we need to do next. Again, those collegial conversations that Ms. Rivera talked about earlier, and I know have been a theme really all night tonight, I think. And so that's really what we're looking at.
So have you been following the implementation guidelines from the PED?
Yes.
So you've been following that checklist where we check the red, yellow, green box, and we know where we're at and stepping back? Because that would be a really nice report to the board, so everybody's on the same page with that one.
Yeah.
So now I want to talk assessment. I am thrilled to see Curriculum and Associates. I love that assessment. It's one of the top assessments ever. But that's only K-5. What are we going to do with the rest of them for great interim data?
That's a fair question.
So whether it is McGraw-Hill or Mid-School Math or iReady, they all encompass an opportunity for assessment within the HQIM. I know at the 9-12 level, there are additional, Mr. Vantes mentioned earlier, AI opportunities for intervention and support, specifically with a program called ALEX, that will provide additional data and meet the student where they're at if they need additional support beyond that first core, grade level instruction.
So, but those are curriculum embedded. So
Correct.
did we get the iReady to go as our interim for K-5, or are we just going to use that as curriculum embedded?
It is curriculum embedded.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll still be relying on iStation to give us our interim data?
iStation is, yes ma'am, that is what is required by the state.
It's not required by the state.
Well, it's the option that the state covers.
Right,
and pays
it's the
for.
option that the state covers.
Correct.
It is the
And it-
crappiest option
Yes,
that is
well,
out there.
It's,
And it's nobody's choice here, I mean.
and hopefully you'll be more pleased with, for ELA specifically, Amira Learning is what we're using for our reading assessment for K2. And yes, we still have iStation for math because that is what is available by the state. However, there is other options, and so hopefully we'll see something similar with math moving forward.
Right.
I
And
know that they
IMESA
put the
then-
RFP out for next year, so
Yeah.
I'm hopeful there.
Hopefully.
Have we done any backwards alignment to the PET assessment frameworks, especially at our high school level? Because
Yeah.
I would really like to see our SAT and our ACT scores go up.
You are absolutely right. So that was a heavy conversation with our math teachers. They dug in deep. I mean, I haven't seen conversations like this happen inside of math collaboration. I can't even tell you the last time. They dug in deep into released SAT questions, lined them up to the standards that they, what standard is that question associated with? Then what is this instructional material covering, and is it covering that standard to the depth that we need to see inside of the PSAT and the SAT? So all of those conversations were integral to the conversations happening at the high school level. It's on top of that, not only the SAT data, but the progress learning data, right? So we have SAT alignment with inside of progress learning. We're working really hard to leverage that system to its full extent, which currently we're not. And part of that is because the platform has changed and there's some bugs. I'm really happy to say though that our academic coaches and digital learning coaches are pushing really hard with that vendor, talking exactly about how our teachers want to utilize it to track that interim data. And then look at, okay, so our students struggled with these standards. How do we help them bridge that gap? So not just will we have ALEKS, but we will also have progress learning that has a whole bank of questions that we can utilize then to supplement and support inside of our classes.
So we're going to give teachers training on using ALEKS Learning? Because that sounds like a lot more time.
Yep.
That's going to pull away from their instructional planning, and I'm
So
concerned
the
about
beauty
that.
of ALEKS Learning, one is there is a very specific way that it should be utilized. And when it is utilized in that way, data is showing that students are filling the gaps that they have, which is great. But we're looking at about 15 minutes of time. And then I believe that it's I'm sorry, I've slept a few times since I've read it, but I want to say it's every 5 hours of time that a student does within ALEKS. Then they take another assessment and it reassesses where they're at, and then we'll move them into another category if they need to. So it's very short spurts. We're not talking about saying like, oh, every Friday is ALEKS Friday. That's not how this program works. This program is dedicated to short spurts of intervention, and then reassessing at a regular interval.
I'm also very happy to see the coherence for the materials at the high school level. I'm hopeful, I'm so hopeful, because that's also in the Mississippi Miracle.
Yes.
And it's in the academic literature.
And you asked about professional development, and one of the pieces that we have recognized that's very important is we cannot just have our implementation year in year one and stop the professional learning opportunities there and the professional development with these instructional materials. It needs to be continuous, and these vendors offer more than just year one. They offer additional opportunities. We've seen that with the CLSD HQIM grant by giving our teachers who are now in year four, the opportunity to dive deeper, look at differentiation within the classroom. How are we implementing this with inclusion? And so they're able to ask these questions. And so we've seen the value in that and the benefit, and we want to make sure that we're carrying that over with every HQIM adoption that we have.
Thank you. Nice presentation. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I follow up? So isn't Amira the same as iStation pretty much?
It's yes and no. So there is a piece of Amira now that tests the students' fluency with reading, because it has that AI option to allow the students to speak. And the biggest difference with the data that comes from iStation and from Amira and iStation is that Amira is normed nationally annually, where the iStation data has not been normed since, I believe, right before pre-COVID with math. And so we did show large growth from our BOY to MMY with the Amira data, looking and including that piece of that reading fluency.
It'll be interesting to see how it equates to the big test.
I hope so. And there was some glitches and there were some bugs, kind of like Mr. Vantes mentioned with Progress Learning, and there were some hiccups, but as we're moving forward, teachers are able to find benefit in the progress monitoring that they're doing with the students. Students are able to log on often and do short spurts, just as Mr. Vantes mentioned, even within Amira, and have some of that additional tutoring time. And all of those, I think, are really benefiting our students to meet them where they're at on an individual basis. Sometimes, right, groups make a difference. We have kindergartners that talk a little bit louder than others, so some of those things are, adjustments that need to be made, but we were very pleased with our BOY to MOY data, and we're hoping we see additional growth at EOY. Or I shouldn't say I hope. I know we'll see additional growth at our EOY.
Okay, Mrs. Sanders, did you know that our former governor is now one of the senior sales leaders for iStation?
I thought iStation went away completely.
No. I thought, but no. There's all sorts of things you learn when you go to the school business officials conference. You're anxious for the RFP, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vetta. Thank you, Mr. Montes. Very well done. Thank you. My final comments tonight revolve around latest updates in the district. Registration for the 26-27 school year is underway. We did have a technical glitch yesterday with our registration system. It was corrected swiftly so parents could continue to access the registration forms online. Pre-K and kindergarten registration starts this week as well. Remind messages have been sent out to parents, and we also have registration information on our website. The summative assessment window began this week for students. We continue to encourage our students to be at school and be ready for learning each day. We wish all our students well on their end of the year assessments. We continue to recruit for vacant teaching positions. Our personnel department held 2 job fairs earlier this month in our district. Personnel team members are also visiting job fairs hosted by universities and colleges in New Mexico. Our senior class of 2026 is quickly approaching graduation. We recently had students recognized for signing letters of intent for welding academies, nursing programs, and collegiate sports. They are also starting to receive numerous scholarships and starting to sign their letters for their intent to take the oath to join the military. We look forward to celebrating the class of 2026 in May. Last week was the spring budget workshop. Next month, as we noted, we will be presenting our budget proposals to the board. We celebrated them earlier, but I would like to once again recognize our VHS wrestling champions, Alexis Avis Labus and Dominic Swatis. Congratulations on your achievements. You make us all very proud. Congratulations to the LLHS Lady Tigers basketball team, VHS Lady Jags basketball team, and the VHS Jags basketball team. All 3 teams competed in the state basketball tournament, and it was exciting to see our Tigers and Jags at the pit early on in the tournament. And we'll already look forward to next season. Congratulations to our LLHS Tigerettes, LLHS cheer team, and VHS cheer team for completing in the state cheer and drill competition last week. All teams represented our district with pride. And congratulations to our JROTC members who completed the Baton Death March last weekend. The march served as a powerful reminder of strength, bravery, and the unwavering commemoration, bringing the community together to pay tribute to those who serve our nation and served. We received our 2025 graduation rates earlier this month. Our district graduation rate increased from 68.8% to 77.25%. This increase is a testament to our students and staff who strive each day to provide and receive a quality educational experience. We know there is still much work to be completed to further increase our graduation rate, and we celebrate this year's increase. It is important to note that all 3 of our high schools were recognized in the top 10 for graduation growth. April break is on Friday, April 3rd. Our schools and offices will be closed on this day. And as always, I want to extend my appreciation to our students, staff, administration, and Board of Education for their continued dedication to our district. And this concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item I, board commendations. Mrs. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first of all, you stole all the thunder this time. And actually, I think that's a great idea, and thank you for doing that. However, I have a couple. So Reese Romero, you have stuck it out this entire meeting. And let me just tell you one other thing. I remember receiving a letter from you when you were in 3rd or 4th grade. And you have that same passion behind you as you stood tonight and talked about something that's important to you. So I want to thank you and your mom, and I don't know who this lady is over here, for coming tonight and for continuing to stand up for what you think is important, and no matter what anybody thinks. So I appreciate that very much. And I thought, you know, here she is, 6 years later, maybe 7 or 8, I don't remember when it was. But anyway, it's been a long time. She was just a little one when she wrote me that letter, and she kind of scolded me. But it was all good. So appreciate that very much. I didn't make it to the Ed Tech films that got sick that day and could not be there. But appreciated very much what they said and got some great feedback from that. It's just a testament to what you do in Los Lunas, and so thank you all.
Simoya.
Absolutely, yes, Ms. Chavez stole a lot of thunder. I did want to comment, having done the baton to our JOT, our Jag Rossi, incredible job. They did cut it short. I want, for the record, it wasn't the full. They cut it short because of the heat. But man, to be out there and give up their weekend to do that, I really respect them for doing that. In advance, I understand several will be taking the oath of enlistment, and our hearts go out to them. I'd like to go ahead and, in advance, thank Ms. Tracek and her office for what she's going to have to do with this budget. It's a task. Please don't quit. Don't win the lottery. Don't walk out. Want to say that in advance. Ms. Rivera and Ms. Cervantes, I wanted to personally thank you and your entire team that participated in that. That, again, was one of the most comprehensive reviews. The thought you put into it, and again, you can lead a horse to water, you can say community and get involved. How large is this community? And we got 40 results. But those individuals were very passionate about it. I believe I was one of them. So yes, I do appreciate that you guys did that. It was comprehensive, like how the decision process was made. And as with Dr. Ozowski, I'd like to see the results. I noticed that in the contract there seems to be support for future years, and we're paying for that, so please use it. So I just wanted to thank you guys for a comprehensive report. Great job this evening.
I have a few. So first, I'd like to recognize our own board secretary. I think you were identified as a woman of interest in the Valencia County News Bulletin. What did you say, 10 boards that you're participating on?
Yeah.
So congratulations for that one.
I waste 3 hours a night sleeping. I really 3 hours a night sleeping.
Well, you can improve. We'll work on your plan later.
Yep, okay.
I also wanted to bring out a couple of things. Mrs. Kittredge did an amazing job helping me. Where did she go? Is she hiding? She's done?
She's home.
Yeah, she did an amazing job of helping me get to the spring workshop, and she does so much for the board as well as Mrs. Wolf, so I wanted to bring that one up. I walked in at the last 2 minutes for the technology presentation because I was tied up at the wonderful Valencia Middle School Spring Open House. I want to thank some of our community partners who showed up. New Mexico State undergraduate admissions, Mackenzie Best showed up. Rocio Cervantes from Choice Smiles. Valencia County Literacy Council was there, and the UNM Enrollment Management for Student Success was there. It was really nice to see so many parents. I had some wonderful conversations, including some from some former students who remembered me with fondness, although I didn't have that same feeling. A couple of weeks ago, we had a couple of students in the Valencia County News Bulletin who were listed as either the Athlete of the Week, Luke Hettis from Los Angeles High School, five-year letterman. He swam the 500 free relay and has a 4.1 GPA. So amazing, but I wanted to give him a shout out, as well as a 6th grader at RGE, Mr. Riker Waits. His goals are learning to play a new instrument. Andres Burkhardt, who's a senior at Valencia High School, he was the first student to earn a medal for Valencia High School in swimming, and he was 3rd at the state swimming meet. We had lots of ROTC folks in there as well, but it's really nice to have so many things to list as positive things coming from our district. So.
Thank you, and now that you've all stole all of them. I just want to show my support to the staff and the students of Los Angeles schools, and this time of the year is a challenging one, but it's also exciting for a lot of kids and educators and staff. So I'll leave it right there. We'll move on to item J, presentation of policy. First reading, NMSBA Policy Advisory 267, Board Policy A 0750, tobacco, drug, alcohol, and tobacco / nicotine free schools policy. Superintendent.
Mr. President, what you have before you is the Board Policy Advisory. It's actually 247, so I apologize, it's not 267, but it did come in the Policy Advisory, Policy Services Advisory, very, very thick packet that was given to us, and it is Policy Advisory number 247. What this policy seeks to do, if you look at the top, there are some current policies that are in place that will now be included within this one policy, and it's 0750. So it will cover all of the policies that are listed. So if you look at PA 247, this policy 247, a little bit higher.
I have 267, is that correct?
It's 247.
247, so it's narrow.
So if you look at policy 247, this policy, which previously just referenced the various policy provisions applicable to drug, alcohol, and tobacco / nicotine-free schools, now becomes the primary policy on that subject. So again, this is a recommendation from the Policy Service.
From Lisa.
Oh, no, it would be page 6.
So you guys have it before you. So I know this is the first reading, and I know that we've had our students, Ms. Romero has been here and has been passionately advocating for this policy. So this is as it reads currently.
Comments?
I have a comment. Or a question, actually. So administering medicines to students, and this is an indication that this is going to take that place?
Yes, ma'am. So when they gave you the advisories and you look at it, they're talking about in the And that, because if you look under your advisor, if you look on this one that we just gave you, it has like 6 or 7 that you guys have on, and they want to combine them.
So is this policy combining administering medicines to students inclusive in this policy? Because I don't see it.
What they're saying for this one in particular, for the nicotine-free schools, so they're talking about getting rid of this piece in particular. And then they're talking about for 0750, what it would now read. So the underlying things would be their version of our blue, and the crossing out is there. So if you look at it, the use, possession, et cetera, is how they're going to do the entire thing. So I have not studied it very much, but I will tell you that a lot of it is in combination. So the entire advisory has got the whole list of what they want to do on it.
So my question is whether or not administering medicines to students, and this can obviously be answered in a subsequent presentation.
There's a small piece of it, and they talk about it.
But are they saying that they would take that portion of the administering medicines to students out of the policy that is addressing that? Or are we taking out the entire administering medicines to students by adopting this policy?
Mr. President, can I address Mrs. Sanders?
Sure.
So, have you seen the whole packet from the policy advisory?
Yes.
And so although it's listed up here, it looks like it's a strikeout. If you, for instance, administering medicines to students, so policy JLCD, there will be some specific wording that's struck out to be more in alignment with the language recommendations from the policy service. But if you look at the back of A0750, you'll see the cross-reference still has administering medications to students, so it's not meant to completely delete JLCD. What they're saying is there will be strikeouts to these 10 or so policies based on the language that is promoted or proposed in the new revised language for A0750. So it's, the policy service is confusing when it provides this guidance. It was meant to be a comprehensive, if you make this change in this policy, then these are the policies that it will also impact because the definition is now altered.
Okay, so my question goes back to, once again, if all of these are being adjusted or eliminated, then all of these policies should also come back to us for approval.
Absolutely.
So this would not be looking at this particular policy alone, but we would be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 policies to strike out the language that refers to this particular policy.
That is correct.
And that is what I was getting at.
Correct.
And that's why they sent you the entire advisory, because the entire advisory.
I get it, but
I agree.
It's
you
gonna,
cannot approve this single policy without
Without
looking at all of them and getting them all, or else you're going to be confused when you go to look at those.
and you're gonna assume that they are eliminated, which they are not. They're being
Absolutely.
revised
Mr.
and
President?
updated.
Yes.
In addition, I've spent quite a bit of time in this policy, and this policy does not go strong enough, in my opinion. So for instance, it mentions commercial tobacco. It does not mention, or even reference in its broad definition, traditional tobacco products. It does not mention stimulants, depressants, a few other things. We also only talk about school property. We don't talk about anything happening on district property, because this isn't a school here. We would not allow it. So this policy is limited, even with the policy service providing their much anticipated guidance. I would really like to see some detailed work on this. When we did the first work session on this particular policy, we also talked about, and I believe it's over here on the second page, where we would talk about what we would do for students. So students who are have been were under the consequences for violation of the policy. So we talked about we have to also adjust the district student conduct and discipline policies, but we wanted to add some clarifying language that although students would be provided with a list of resources that could help them with nicotine or tobacco products, that the district would not be responsible. So that was something else that we talked about in our first review. We also had quite a bit of good discussion about the use of promotion, which is in the first page of the proposed language. And I did quite a bit of work trying to understand what statute or law, or code comes in and helps us define what promotion looks like. That was a very good, Mr. Size was responsible for bringing that word to my attention. So it's over on the second page, promotion of prohibited products, or promotion of products prohibited. So I did quite a bit of work looking into what statute or code the district could draw on to help us understand what promotion looked like, because of course our site administrators would be responsible for enforcing this particular part of the policy. That also is a very weak section of this proposed language, and we need quite a bit more work on it as well. So I know we have not gotten to a motion, but I do not think that we're in a place for a first reading, in my opinion. I know that we're behind the curve. I know, Ms. Romero, you are passionate and I love it, but I want it right and I want it strong, quite frankly. I just don't think it's strong enough. And I think we could do some really good work. I still think that we would love to see all of your materials, because starting somewhere helps with something, in my opinion.
Mr. President, since we're paying for this policy service, I'm sorry, I have to remind people here. Can we get their updated policy with the strikeouts and ads, the whole kit and caboodle, and can we get that emailed so that we can? Because
Yes.
I think we are okay with the first reading because it requires 3. We've brought this up now. We've had chances to
We
read
didn't
the
do it
existing.
we didn't do a reading in a board meeting. We did a reading during the work session.
Yeah, so, but this is a first meeting to discuss it, and we're not ready to pass it, obviously. I think that if that can get to us, I think we can definitely review that.
Well, I think the bottom line, that's why we
Yeah.
expanded to 2 meetings a month and expanded our workshops,
Yeah.
because we haven't been getting anywhere with this.
Yeah.
And just like something we recently passed, I would like to set things in motion, so we need to do what we need to do and get some of this stuff done, get some of these policies. I mean, we're really behind. So, I guess we need to come up with a plan. Superintendent Chavez,
Board, Mr.
what would you suggest?
Mr. President, so what I will do is contact our legal counsel so that they can work directly with NMSBA Policy Services. We will also bring back to the board these slight changes, and in some cases, some of these policies are going to be removed based on the policy advisory. So we will come back with the next session, next board meeting, when we discuss specifically these policies and have all the specific changes in each of those policies, so that you'll have each of the changes that were made and have that reviewed by our district council.
Okay.
And then to address Dr. Ozowski's concerns, a first reading is just a first reading, a second reading. It does not have to be even approved at the 3rd reading. We can go back. So if we can't get it done by 2 more meetings, so we don't necessarily have to pass it, so we can get it right.
Agreed. I'm just not sure that this counts as a first reading, because we're not actually, we're seeing it. It's up there, and I guess we've read it, but we don't have any proposed changes, so.
Well,
That's
yeah,
my point.
based on my experience, the first reading can be amended. That's what the readings are about. Okay. Move. Okay. All right, we'll move to item K, approval. Are we going to
Yeah.
Still do that?
Okay.
Okay,
So, Mr. Attorney, sorry. So this, you're gonna, I just need you to say this for presentation and discussion only, not action. If I could have that for the record.
okay. Item J?
Yeah.
Okay, item J was for presentation only and no action was taken. Okay, so we'll move into item K then. Okay, approval to allow consideration of amendment of board policy at a single meeting per policy for B 2600 policy adoption.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I don't know what this means.
This is,
I don't know what it means. What does it mean?
Mrs. Wolf,
Please, actually,
President, we're at
Please.
Superintendent Chavez. Your board policy 2600, and it is in your packet, allows you that if the board feels it is necessary, you may skip the other readings and adopt the policy. And this is just saying that you are allowing them to, that you agree or you don't agree, to look to amend that policy, to do a board policy, to consider a board policy, approving it at a single meeting. The second meeting that is following that is B 1400, and that is the one that you all discussed at the last meeting that would bring you into compliance with the open meetings resolution and the discussion that you had for the
okay.
second meeting.
All right.
So this one allows you to say, yes, we're gonna allow it to happen. The second meeting would be to say, yes or no, that we're gonna amend that to get to your 2 meetings. But that policy does allow you to skip the extra.
that's correct. It's,
You previously haven't already suspended the policy, and our board policy now states that you may skip to the 3 meetings, or the 2 meetings.
All right.
If you so
Right.
desire.
so may I ask for a question regarding whether or not we have to approve a policy that's in place, or just say we are going to enact a piece of the policy that's here that says policies may be adopted or amended at a single meeting of the board if declared necessary by a majority of the board, since that's already an approved policy, right? This is already an approved policy.
You just need to say that you want to allow that to happen.
to exercise that right.
To
Okay.
exercise that right, that's what you need to say. If you so choose.
So my understanding is not that at all. My understanding is that if, for example, I wanted to say for item L, this is an example, please. I move to approve policy B1400, school board meetings, with the changes that were, that are presented, and iterate those changes, and waive the second reading per board policy B2600 policy adoption. That we didn't have to necessarily approve board policy 2600 to use it. It would have to be in the motion that it would be approved for a final reading or approval based on the provisions of B2600. So what Mrs. Sanders has said, because it's already an approved policy, we don't have to approve it to use it. We can use the board policy to approve an update to a policy.
I agree. But the only reason I think that this was done is just for clarification, to say that you are willing to, that you want to do that for this particular, and I'm so sorry that I didn't say it correctly. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, I apologize. Is that the reason that was only put on here was just for clarification, so that you can utilize it, but I absolutely would agree that if you were doing that, a policy B1400, that in your motion, my suggestion would be that you, if you so choose to do that, then you refer back to 2600 as you had just done. It's just an extra step. No, you don't have to do it. I have no stake in this whatsoever. It was just for clarification, so that if anybody's looking saying, why did you do that?
It's telling you that you can absolutely do it. It was just for clarification.
Just for the record, we discussed this when we set the agenda, and so, it's been 10 days or so, but, so that was my intention,
To clarify, yeah.
to clarify. So we're still gonna have to do it either before or after, and
Or during.
Well, but item K reads approval to allow consideration of amendment of board policy at a single meeting. We're not amending that board policy because we're going to be using policy B2600. So I'm struggling with the action for K because there really isn't an action. There is an action for item L, and it can use an already approved board policy. So
I
let me
don't know, I disagree. I think we should approve item K and move on to item L.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I move that we approve the use of the very last section of policy B2600, which reads, policies may be adopted or amended at a single meeting of the board if declared necessary by a majority of the board. So, specific to approval to allow consideration of amendment of board policy at a single meeting per policy B2600, policy adoption.
so that's a motion.
That's a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion? Okay. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Simoy, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
vote yes.
And I vote yes. Item K, approval to allow consideration of amendment of board policy at a single meeting for policy per B 2600. Policy is passed by a vote of 4-0. Move on to item number L, discussion and approval to amend policy B 1400, school board meetings.
Mr. President? So this L is specifically our B 1400 school board policy. What we're amending it basically to mirror our Open Meetings Act resolution. That's the only changes to that policy. To be able to offer more than one meeting a month. So
Yes, and that's highlighted in blue, right?
That's correct. So the line specifically addresses, number one, there was a typo, we found that, regular board meetings, because there'll be more than one.
Correct.
The language added specifically states, unless otherwise specified, comma, the second and fourth Tuesday, and then it goes on to standard language, of each calendar month, are designated as regular board meetings, meeting dates unless otherwise advertised. We have a little error in there. We have otherwise, unless otherwise advertised, otherwise.
You can take that, you can do whatever you like.
Unless otherwise advertised, period. Let's go ahead and strike the last.
Otherwise.
Yep, otherwise, let's just strike that last one. Okay, that's quite all right. It's getting punchy in here. So,
I'll do whatever you want.
So, that's the gist of it. I just wanted to, there was a lot of work for that one little gist.
Okay, I'd stand for a motion.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I move to approve the changes to policy B1400, school board meetings, to include the wording under the heading regular board meetings unless otherwise specified, the second and fourth Tuesday of each calendar month are designated as the regular board meeting dates unless otherwise advertised, period.
I will second that motion.
I have a motion by Dr. Osowski and a second by Mrs. Simoya to amend policy B 1400, school board meetings, with the sentence under regular board meetings, unless otherwise specified, the second and fourth Tuesday of each calendar month are designated as regular board meeting dates unless otherwise advertised. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Simoia, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item K, item L is approved by a vote of 4-0. Okay, we'll move on the agenda. Now we'll move on to item number N, the approval of the 2026 IDFB Policies and Procedures Manual. I'm the one that listed that for discussion. And during the meeting, I am familiar with that policy and procedure. I did review it here during the meeting, and I have no other concerns. Do we have any other board members that have a question or comment? Then I would stand for a motion.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Simoia.
I move that we approve consent item N, approval of 2026 IDFB Policies and Procedures Manual.
We have a motion by Mrs. Simoia to approve item N, approval of 2026 IDFB Policies and Procedures Manual.
I second.
We have a second by Mrs. Sanders. Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Simoia, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item N is approved by a vote of 4-0. Okay, we'll move to item O, Finance Committee items. Item 04, approval of purchase, Curriculum Associates, Mid-School Math LLC, and McGraw-Hill, Curriculum and Instruction Core Math, Instructional Materials, K-12, 11,000 operational. Dr. Osowski.
So I just have a couple of questions here. I noticed that the total is $2,040,424.96 before we add $107,959.79 for the K-4 math manipulatives. And the total of the 2 million and the 107,000 is $2,148,384.75. And the state has allocated for us $1,364,190.51. So my question is, where is the $784,194.24 coming from?
Thank you, Board Member Dr. Osowski, members of the board. Mr. President, I will turn this over to Ms. Chavez so she can answer the question.
Mr. President, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to speak of that. So what we have is we have only so much left over in our instructional money from this year. So we are going to be using, Ms. Tracek is going to be able to help support us with the rest of that amount.
What accounts?
Operational.
Operational? So out of the 11,000?
Yes.
And that would be, when we look at the finance report, when we, what did I do with it? We get a lot of paper. I'm very excited about it. So in operational, we have balance remaining of 36 million. So we have enough to cover that. We're okay because we have 26% remaining.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, yes, so there is remaining funds in the operational, and so I am trying to use some of that. We have the additional $75 per unit. That was totally unexpected. And so, and then also, once the audit is complete, there will be another bar for truing up cash, the cash balance. There has been some savings that were, positions that were budgeted this year, in this fiscal year, that, that have been changed. So there's been some savings. So unfortunately, it's the allocations for instructional materials is not enough to cover, but it's buried in the SEG. Luckily, I do have extra funds in this fiscal year that I'll be able to use that. And in purchasing, I'm hoping always to be able to purchase the textbooks ahead of time, so the students on day one would be able to have their books ready. You know, when we delay those purchases, it ends up where sometimes books are not there in time when school starts, which I believe is got to be very difficult for the classroom and probably detrimental to the
Thank
those
you.
students.
I also noticed under this Curriculum and Associates contract that for staff development, consultation and resources, $5,000 for professional learning session. I know it was given as a combined total. $5,000 is about 6 hours, 8 hours of PD. How are we going to support effective implementation with a $5,000 gift from one vendor?
We will, we're planning within our budget for the upcoming school year through our Title I funding and our Title II funding.
So we'll be able to see that clearly delineated when we start our budget workshops, that there's money set aside for the implementation?
Yes, you will, through the Title I funding.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
My questions have been answered, Mr. President.
Okay, any questions, comments? All right, it's time for a motion.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve item O, Finance Committee items. Number 4, approval of purchases. Sub-item A, Curriculum and Associates, Mid-School Math LLC, and McGraw-Hill Curriculum and Instruction, Core Math, Instructional Materials, K-12, from the 11,000 Operational Fund.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Osowski for item 04, approval of purchases. A, Curriculum Associates, Mid-School Math LLC, and McGraw-Hill Curriculum and Instruction, Core Math Instructional Materials, K through 12, 11,000 operational. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second by Ms. Simoia. Mrs. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Simoia, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes?
And I vote yes. That item is approved by a vote of 4-0. We'll move on to item number 04B.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve item O, Finance Committee items. Number 4, approval of purchases. Item B, Curriculum and Associates, Curriculum and Instruction, Math Manipulatives, from the 24,101 Title I account.
We have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve item 04B, Curriculum Associates, Curriculum and Instruction, Math Manipulatives, 24,101 Title I. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second by Mrs. Simoia. Mrs. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mrs. Simoia, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Osowski, I'm sorry, how do you vote?
Yes?
And I vote yes. That item is approved by a vote to 4-0. We'll move to item number 6, approval of construction contract A, approval of design professional contract to Vihill and Associates, Phase 2, Los Lunas High School Athletic Complex, 31100 bond. I listed discussion, and so did Dr. Osowski, and my question is, I wasn't familiar with this project. I wasn't familiar there was a Phase 2, and what I would like is a description of what that encounters, what's all involved in Phase 2.
Thank you, Mr. President Otero. I would like to invite Ms. Tracek to the podium to provide the answer.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. So, so of the Los Lunas High School build over there, we did break it out into different phases. And once the first phase kind of got the concession stand and bathrooms, So we could have bathrooms in place when we go to the next phase, which is going to be in the junior varsity area, the older building that had the bathrooms in there, and that building is going to be demolished and rebuilt. So that will be done. And also in the varsity building, there's going to be a little bit of remodeling to have a referee area and bathroom there in an area that had showers that were never being used.
So we'll be remodeling the JV area,
The varsity area,
the varsity area,
and totally the older JV area.
The one on the
Yes.
east side?
Yes.
Correct.
So you're gonna demolish it and
And
replace it?
rebuild. Correct.
All right. Is there any other phases to this project after the phase 2?
Also, actually, in the phase 2 also has some drainage issues that will be worked on.
Okay.
That also has that. At this point, I believe that's it, but
So this is just
If there
for
might-
the design contract, correct? This is not for demolition, this is not for any of that right now?
correct. This
Okay.
is just to the architect.
So they can start the design process. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
We'll also invite Mrs. McMahon.
Come on down.
This has been a multi-phase project
Really.
for the athletic complex.
President Otero, members of the board, Superintendent Chesa, I just want to clarify some things because there's been a lot of background with this project that might help understand, and we don't want to give a misconception of what is getting renovated and rebuilt. So we could be a little more specific because we don't want to get anyone hopes up and then they realize something might not happen. At the start of this project, we did an overall master plan for the facility. That's where we get the phases. V. Hill and Associates was hired originally to design phase 1 and 2. So the actual work for the design has been completed or in the process of wrapping that up. This contract is specifically for the procurement and construction process of their involvement. So that's why you might see the cost isn't what a typical whole design, because that part was already contracted in the beginning. And then this is to move forward with phase 2 in the procurement process, and depending on where that comes in is how the project moves forward. So that's what the contract is. To clarify, the work that would be done in phase 2 would not be renovating the whole varsity locker room, but a small section of the locker room. So that's one thing I just want to be very clear. When we say renovate the locker room, I don't want them to think we're getting a whole new locker room. But however, it is a portion of the shower corner that will be renovated for a referee changing space that would be large enough for the referees versus a tiny one that's originally dedicated. And the major bulk of the project will be demolishing the original field house that is used for visitors, our C teams, and then also for our track and field. It would be a complete renovation as well as improving all the drainage that we see on that road, continuing to add inlets to our retaining ponds, adding necessary fire hydrant in the space. And that's what the project would be for phase 2. And that's all that we have designed thus forward. Depending on where we're at budget-wise for the school district going forward, we would look at continuing design on anything else. But right now, this is kind of the cap of what we've intended to do at
So
that site.
this isn't design, this is approval of procurement.
It's procurement and their construction oversight. So when we usually hire an architect, it's for the complete design as well as their involvement with procurement and construction oversight. They follow it all the way through. When we originally contracted with them, because we were unsure if we were gonna have the funding to go forward with the design, but we had them design it so it's a cohesive area ultimately. So we contracted with them to complete the design and finish phase 1. Now we're looking at, okay, we potentially have the funding to move forward, so we wanna contract with them to look at the procurement and the construction of phase 2.
Definitely, I think the wording on the item was confusing.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't familiar. I mean, I didn't know this was phase 2, but it makes sense. Do you have any other questions, Dr. Osowski?
I'm good.
Any other questions or comments, board members?
No.
Okay, let's stand for a motion.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve item O, Finance Committee items. Number 6, approval of construction contract. Subletter A, approval of design professional contract to V Hill and Associates Phase 2, Los Lunas High School's athletic complex, using Fund 31100, which is bond money, in the amount of $109,329.78, understanding that this is procurement and construction oversight.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve item number 6.
I'll second.
We have a second by Ms. Sanders. Ms. Simoia, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mrs. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes?
And I vote yes. That item has been approved by a vote of 4-0. Now we'll move to item number 7. That's approval of MOU between Village of Los Lunas, Valencia County, and Los Lunas Schools for Summer Recreation Program. Dr. Osowski.
So I just have a couple of questions on this one. I see that it's about a 60-day program. The district cost is $9,000. Are we using any district vehicles or district staff in that project?
Dr. Osowski, I'd like to invite Ms. Tracek up to the podium to provide clarification on this MOU. It is an
Just have you
MOU.
come sit right
I know,
here.
we need to have her join our area.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. So this MOU is with the Village of Los Lunas, and it is us participating a portion. So we are agreeing to pay to help financially. We do not have staff there in that. We do have, like, sometimes these summer programs, which is something totally different, the food programs that they have there. I'm not sure if they sometimes need help with busing or whatever, but this is just to help bring down the cost, so parents, to have them participate in activities, they don't have to, take on a cost that it really would cost to do everything, the activities that they do have.
Right, it's cost sharing. Yeah, it's our portion of cost sharing.
And it has been something that we have done, I'm gonna guess, what I know, at least 15 years, and it's.
I know it's been going on. I just keep seeing, month after month, we see our transportation costs becoming more and more and more negative. So I'm not sure if this was included, if the use of our vehicles is included in the expectation. I didn't see it in the MOU, but I don't know if in the past it's just been one of those things that we've done, is we've used our vehicles, which means an increased burden other than the $9,000.
No.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever used vehicles. I think that that's a NIMSIA thing, and I do not believe we've ever used, they've used our vehicles for any of it, for transportation of students.
Yeah, I didn't know. That's
Yeah.
why.
So Dr. Osowski, members of the board, I actually participated in this program when I was in high school as a recreational leader. At that time, it was much more collaborative between the Village of Los Lunas and Los Lunas schools. And so at that time, and I'm aging myself, but that was over 30 years ago, we did use the school buses and we were employed by the Village of Los Lunas. And so we also used our facilities. I know that the program has now since changed because the village now has Daniel Fernandez Park and they have the recreational complex. So they have taken more ownership of facilities, et cetera, inclusive of transporting their students.
Yeah, and it would make sense to me for us to be using our facilities, for instance, what they're already paid for and we're paying the utilities, et cetera.
Right.
District vehicles was a concern, given our transportation budget. And where
Absolutely.
we sit. And then if we had to allocate for staff in addition to the $9,000 cost sharing. Okay, that's my question.
Ms. Tracy, going forward, would you mind addressing that and making sure kind of going forward that the language does specifically either exclude or include so that we can, as we're facing budget coming up, we'll know what we need for next year? Just in case. That's a good point.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I move to approve item O, Finance Committee items. Number 7, approval of MOU between the Village of Los Lunas, Valencia County, and Los Lunas Schools for Summer Recreation Program.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve item 07, approval of MOU between the Village of Los Lunas, Valencia County, the Los Lunas Schools for Summer Recreation Program. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second by Mrs. C. Moya. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. C. Moya, how do you vote?
I'll vote yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That item is approved by a vote of 4-0. We'll move to item number 8, approval of education affiliate agreement between Unitech Learning and Los Lunas Schools to provide opportunities for educational experiences for students in nursing and allied health programs. Dr. Osowski.
So I noticed when reading the affiliation agreement that it says it was effective as of March 24th, 2025. It's like the third line down. Is that effective March 24th, 2025?
I wonder if there was a typo on that because it had to come to the board first. March 25th would be tomorrow.
That's what I'm thinking. So just bringing that to your attention.
Thank you.
The next thing is under item E, records. It says the college is to maintain all academic records. And I'm wondering, do we need to be clear that a copy of those academic records are provided to the district to be placed in the student's permanent academic file?
I'm going to have Mr. Seiss speak to that question. I'm giving everybody a chance to speak tonight in cabinet.
Mr. President, members of the Los Lunas School Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for allowing the opportunity to speak to this item. I don't want to speculate, but these records, actually, most of these, well, let me back up. This Unitech Education Affiliation Agreement actually falls in line with our traditional MOUs or affiliation agreements for interns or internships or practicums. So there's nothing unusual here. The only piece is these folks are not our students. So we wouldn't necessarily need their records, their educational records.
I thought
'cause
this
these
was for
folks-
the nursing programs and the allied health programs, so I thought that this was for our students who were doing like the nurse practitioner, not nurse practitioner, CNA programs? Am I
No,
correct to
this,
understand it?
yeah. No,
Oh,
this
okay.
is actually specific to, in our district, we have occupational therapy assistants and
Okay, then I
physical
misunderstood.
therapist assistants. That's what, these are actually college students that would be pursuing their degrees. We're offering an opportunity for educational training experiences for them.
Okay, that was my misunderstanding. So, when I go over to item J, and this is under facility responsibility, so this is ours, it says the facility, i.e. Los Lunas Schools, may request college to remove and withdraw from the training program any student whom the facility determines is not performing satisfactorily or who refuses to follow the facility's admin policies, procedures, rules, and regulations. We make the request in writing. It must include a statement as to the reason why, and then the facility desires to have the student withdrawn. Is that problematic?
No, it's, in my tenure in that office, we have not had an issue with this or a concern or had anyone not complete an internship or student teaching experience or practicum to my recollection. Okay, of course, I'm getting a little older at this point, but I don't recall anyone being asked to be removed from any of those placements.
I think the language that I was struggling with is that we would request a student to be withdrawn if they weren't here, that we request you go away, as opposed to
Yeah, placed,
Go away.
placed elsewhere, yeah.
Yeah, or just go away.
Yeah.
Just-
That's,
Just go away, find another place
That's
to go,
easier,
but
yes.
not here. I'm
Yes.
worried about that wording, because that could put a burden on us. And since you're doing such a wonderful job of staying right here, actually, that's all, I'm done with you, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seiss.
Any questions, comments from board?
That's what I thought.
All right, it's time for motion.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve item O, Finance Committee items number 8, approval of education affiliate agreement between Unitech Learning and Los Angeles Schools to provide opportunities for educational experiences for students in nursing and allied health programs with the correction of the effective date as referenced before.
We have a motion by Dr. Osowski for item number 08. Approval of education affiliate agreement between Unitech Learning and Los Angeles Schools to provide opportunities for educational experience for students in nursing and allied health programs. I'd stand for a second.
Second.
A second by Ms. Sanders. Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes?
And I vote yes. That item is passed by a vote of 4-0. We're moving on to item 010, approval of amendment number 2, contract 2025-006 for special audit services between Jaramillo Accounting Group and Los Angeles Schools. Dr. Osowski.
Nope, not me.
It's me.
Oh, is it you? Sorry.
Well, we're right next to each
For the
other.
record, I'm not paying attention. It's the last item for tonight.
Hey, it's 9:30, we're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I have a question regarding this amendment. Number 1, does it cost any more money? Number 2, this is the April 30th deadline, is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
That's the drop dead, we're done April 30th.
So Board President Sanders, members of the board, this is not an addition to the cost that was amended last time when this came to the board. I believe it was in December. At that time, there was a cost increase. This does not include a cost increase. It does include an extension of the time. In the communication with the Office of the State Auditor, it was very clear that this audit needs to be completed by April 30th.
So for clarification, this is just so they can finish up their work, but there is no charge, additional charge to the district?
At this time, correct. They did add the price increase in December,
In December.
and that did come before the board.
Board members, I can confirm that because I did receive a copy of all the amendments and what have you, but the schools are not, Superintendent Chavez had to apply to the state auditor, and it all had to go through legalities, and so this is just, we're not paying any more. Mrs. Jaramillo needed more time when she sent the questionnaire out. She needed more time to talk to the people that responded, and so the district doesn't have to pay for anything, and that's where it stands. Any other questions, comments?
No, the amendment was quite clear.
All right, stand for motion.
Mr. President,
Yes, Dr. Osowski.
I move to approve item O, Finance Committee items number 10, approval of amendment number 2, contract 2025-006 for special audit services between Jaramillo Accounting Group and Los Lunas Schools.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve item O, Finance Committee items, item 10, approval of amendment number 2, contract 2025-006 for special audit services between Jaramillo Accounting Group and Los Lunas Schools. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I have a second by Mrs. Seymour. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Reluctantly, yes.
Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
I will vote yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That item passes by a vote of 4-0. We move to item P, new business. Board members request topics for upcoming board work sessions and/or board meetings. Mrs. Sanders.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to have an update on our pending litigation. which I'm assuming would require a closed session.
Okay. Any other?
Mr. President, I concur with Ms. Sanders. Ms. Sanders has been a board member for going on 4 months now and has not been brought up to speed on pending litigation. I think that is more than timely opportunity, so a closed executive session should be in order.
Am I allowed to talk about what I know? I mean, I'm not talking about what I know, okay.
I know what I know.
Okay, I called the NIMSIA attorney, and I was supposed to have a meeting recently, and that meeting was pushed back, and I'll call him again, but that's all I'm gonna say right now. There's been no changes. We'll take it back to NIMSIA. Okay, items Q.
Nope, you forgot me. Back it up. New
Yeah.
topics. I would like to
Okay.
see an update on our attendance success initiative, since that is definitely something in the accreditation. And we have 42% of those budgets left as of tonight's report, 42 or 46, whatever it is. It's important that we know what's going on with that accreditation, and especially with the attendance success initiative. So I'd like to see a report on that.
Okay, now we'll move to item Q, announcement of meetings. April 7th, 2026, we have a board work session regarding the budget, 2026/27 fiscal year. It's here at the conference room at 4 p.m. April 14th, 2026, we have an audit committee meeting at the conference room. It's regular and special audits, and that's attendance by invitation only. That's at 3:30 p.m. April 14th, 2026, we have a finance committee here at the conference room at 4 p.m. April 14th, 2026, we have a board work session here at the conference room at 4:30. That's regarding budget presentation for 2026/27 fiscal year. Discussion and informational purposes only. No action will be taken. A quorum may be in attendance. April 14th, 2026, we have a regular board meeting here at the conference room at 6 p.m. Items as listed in the agenda, including budget presentation, 2026/27 fiscal year. April 20th, 2026, we have a parent advisory / public hearing here at the boardroom at 4 p.m. That's for discussion and information presentation regarding budget for 2026/27 fiscal year. A quorum may be in attendance. April 21st, 2026, we have a budget presentation to NEA at the board conference room at 4 p.m. Discussions / information presentation regarding budget 2026/27 fiscal year. A quorum may be in attendance. April 21st, 2026, we have a special board meeting here at the conference room at 6 p.m. Items listed on the agenda, including budget presentation, 2026/27 fiscal year. April 28th, 2026, we have a board work session here at the boardroom at 5 p.m. That's budget presentation for fiscal year 2026/27. That's for discussion, informational purposes only. No action will be taken. The quorum may be in attendance. And last but not least, April 28th, 2026, we have a regular board meeting here at the boardroom at 6 p.m. Items as listed in the agenda, including budget presentation, fiscal year 2026/27. We move to item number R, adjournment.
Sorry, may I ask a clarification?
Yes.
So, based on your discussion this evening, I did not hear it. Did you have the April 7th meeting beginning at 4:30 for the board presentation?
Yes.
Board workshop.
That was,
Did you guys already say that?
that's the first one I announced,
4 p.m.
but I announced it 4 p.m.
April 7th, 4 p.m. first one.
Got it. My
And then-
second question is,
Uh-huh.
sir?
Yes.
If I may, On my understanding is from listening to Ms. Tracy, is that on April 28th, I believe that they are looking for board presentation
And
and
approval.
possible approval.
We don't have a meeting.
Yeah, it's not listed on your form here, but for presentation and approval, I'll just repeat it again. April 28th, 2026, we have a regular board meeting here at the boardroom at 6 p.m. Items as listed on the agenda, including budget presentation for fiscal year 2026-27, and that's for presentation and approval.
Consideration of approval?
Just go on.
Okay. Presentation, consideration, and approval. Okay.
Sorry, I just want to make,
Can you put a comma?
actually, board members.
How about otherwise?
It would say including budget presentation.
You should move on quickly.
Of budget 26-27 fiscal year,
Yes,
I believe is what I heard.
yes.
Otherwise.
I heard comma.
Okay. Our item R, adjournment, I stand for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion by
Second.
Ms. Moya, and a tie between Sanders and
I think that's a unanimous.
Dr. Osowski, and I vote yes.
There we go. Thank you, everyone. Next time she does that, I'll say it like that, what I said.
After I read that whole page.
I swear. She only does it on 9